Brian Quinby from Street Fight Radio. Brett, would you like a shot at Jake?
Yeah.
I just fell in a hole. That was Jake. That was all Jake. I think we found the ghost. Jake won't let you see your mention. He's like, don't look at your phone while you're at work, motherfucker.
How many times have you gone into work and then looked at your boss and said, what are they doing? You ever think about the levels at a job, Brett? Of course, the people on the very bottom. What do they do?
Usually clean.
Yeah, and then there is the people just above them. They're the ones that do the second hardest job at the place, right?
Deal with customers?
Yeah, that sort of thing. And then there's another level above that, and that's the manager that's in the place. Now let's think about what comes after that, right? You might have a guy named like Glenn that comes to your office every 6 months, and you have to lay out the red carpet for Glenn. Think about what the person above Glenn does. Jerry is the person above Glenn, right?
Okay.
His job is basically going to lunch, right?
Yeah, powerful meetings, shaking hands real hard.
We're gonna go up to the CEO now. The people that sit around a table and who knows what they're doing? Nobody knows what they talk about.
Playing cards.
What connection does that person have to what you do and what the customer gets? It just seems like you could really chop like 5 or 6 levels off of any job and the company would still run perfectly.
Think about your job. Now imagine your manager isn't there. How much smoother would your day run?
I mean, how many of you work a job where you don't even know who the fucking CEO is of the company? That means they're absolutely useless. They're parasites.
They're on the top, getting most of the money, sending their kids to private school, driving the fanciest cars, and they can't make a sandwich. Every new level of hierarchy is more money coming out of your paycheck. Unions are fucking great because it's not HR.
You need solidarity with the other workers. We need to use that and exercise that. You and your other workers are the most important people at that company. I mean, hell, the way I think about it, maybe you don't get a union at all and you just take the whole company away from the bosses, and that's called a co-op.
For the almighty dollar, everyone's a slave. Cause what's the point of doing shit if you ain't getting paid?
I mean, I tell you what, even the jobs that paid me nothing, like when I was first learning them, it was like, all right, I can do this. You just need somebody to get the plates and make them go from here to here. I can be the master of that. I was really into that, and I can do that. But after a while, it's like, you guys treat me like shit, and I get the plates from here to here every fucking time, and you talk down to me and shit. What's going on?
Jesus,
you're counting my lunches. Like, you're looking at what I'm eating. You're like figuring out when I'm going out to smoke. Like, all of a sudden, you're in my shit. But all you said you wanted from me was the plates to go from here to here, and I'm getting the plates from here to here.
God, that was the most accurate representation of how I feel when I get a job. At first, I'm helpless. I'm a little baby. I'm sucking off the tea to the manager to tell me what I need to do. You know, I don't want to, my wings aren't fully formed yet. And then once I learn what I'm doing, I'm like, y'all could treat me a lot better for this. I deserve a lot more for this.
Wow, this is some bullshit right here. Now that you kicked me out of the nest and I'm flying through the sky and trying to flap my wings here, I don't think you're giving me enough.
I don't like this
You
at
didn't
all.
set me up right.
Can you imagine being that sensitive? Like you.
Well, that's
like
what
that
they're
is the
PC as
ultimate.
hell. Hey, you know what? This is the freest goddamn country, and it's so free that if you don't stand up, you aren't a free person. And goddamn it, boy, if you don't stand up right now, you ain't free. Because you have the freedom to do whatever you want. But I'm telling you, I have the freedom to make you feel bad for doing the freedom. Just get up and say you love it. Just get up right now, Copernic. God damn it. It's so free that you can't do it. You have to. It's free because there's only one way to be. That's why it's free. So be that. Damn you. They don't have anything to live. I mean, their kids hate them. They don't have, all their money got stolen by banksters and shit. Healthcare's running through the fucking roof.
You know, you probably hear people constantly talking about this horrible thing called capitalism.
I have.
Yeah, you've heard that?
Yes.
You're like, what? How does capitalism affect me? I will tell you, it runs your entire fucking life. You've probably heard of socialism or communism. Communism. And they say, they try to control your entire life. Your whole day is taken away from you. What control do you have over your day now?
Most people have to be chained to a desk for 40 hours a week, and they're not allowed to leave.
When you wake up in the morning and you feel like shit and you have to wipe the sleep from your eyes and like look around and be like, why does this have to happen this early in the morning? That's a capitalism.
And it controls everything, like your healthcare, your education. It all comes down to making money, but some things just don't make money. Honestly, ask yourself, how afraid are you of getting an injury and how that could possibly fuck up your life?
Yeah. You're being stopped from skateboarding, breakdancing, doing anything fun, because if you get injured, you're fucked forever. You can't go to work.
And so then you have all these people that say, well, we can make a kinder capitalism, a more conscious capitalism. It isn't gonna fucking happen. We need anarchy, we need socialism, we need communism, we need anything but more capitalism.
But wait, Brett. When you go to the grocery store, you have almost unlimited choice. You can buy 100 different types of cereals.
All made from the same stuff with different graphics on the outside.
All corn. It's basically just a bunch of boxes of corn.
That's capitalism.
It actually treats about 1% of the population like humans, and the rest of us like tools for those superhumans. You don't have any money, your bank account's low? I know where the money is. Jeff Bezos has it, the Waltons have it.
And they took it from us, right?
They took it from us.
We're just getting our money.
Hey everybody, welcome to Street Fight Radio. Glad you're here. Sunday night, time for a call-in show, Street Fight. We got a very special ABCD edition for you, so keep that in mind. Do not jump in line if you're a cis dude. ABCD means anyone but cis dudes. I want to get this out there from the very front. So please, all the women and femme callers, let us know what's up. The number to dial is 614-655-3887. Let us know what's going on in your world. We are Street Fight Radio, the #1 anarcho-comedy radio show on any station across the nation. We've been doing it out of Columbus, Ohio here for almost 9 years. We're coming up round in a decade maybe. But you can hear us on the radio in Columbus, Ohio. Just add WCRS to your radio dial if you want to hear it, and all kinds of other amazing entertainment. And if you're not in the area and you love independently created content, WCRSFM.org has a lot of really interesting music shows, informational shows, and the free press is also out of there. So there is a lot of open-minded and interesting stuff happening over on WCRSFM.org. Give them a look-see. If you want to see Street Fight Radio, me, Brett, him, Brian, in person, we're going to be in Texas next week, next Monday, October 14th. We're going to be in Austin, Texas at the North Door. On Wednesday in Oklahoma City, we're going to be at 51st Speakeasy. The 17th in Dallas, Texas at Sons of Herman Hall. That's where it's going down. We're going to have a very special closing, something that's never happened in Street Fight Live history. Maybe never happen again. Who knows? We don't have a Jumbotron, but I wish we did. On the 18th, it's going to be the PWR, Party World Wrestling, Street Fight Radio crossover event of the century. Once again, I don't know when this is happening anywhere else. Friday, October 18th, Houston, Texas. It's going down at Houston Underground. Head to store.streetfightradio.com to get to tickets to any of these events. And if you need financial assistance, that is available. We've got half-price tickets for anyone that needs help. And if you can't afford to get into our show, just simply send a message and we'll take care of it for you. Thank you for being here. This week we have special guests from the Columbus DSA. We have Kristen and Alec. How are y'all doing?
Pretty good. Excited.
Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. Brian, how's your week been?
Great. I was on the news last week. Did y'all see that I was on the news last week?
Yes.
I've seen
It's
the
just
photos.
letting you know that I am a celebrity locally because I'm a maniac, fucking crazy person who will talk into a camera if they set it up on the corner of High Street and Lane Avenue.
So what happened?
I'm out walking.
The news set up a
I thought
trap.
it was a student, by the way. I'm going to say this. I thought, okay, we're going to take this back a few years, actually. I worked on some research projects for PhDs because I had to do internship when I was at Ohio State. So I have done research, right? And I know how hard data collection is. You know, like I know that it's a pain in the ass to do it. I walk down and I'm on the corner of Lane Avenue and High Street. This is a main artery in town, right? High Street's the main road, and then Lane Avenue's where the horseshoe is. This is campus, right? I get there, and there is an easel standing up on the corner with a GoPro camera on it. And it says, do you think NCAA athletes should be paid? If tell your reason to the camera. And I stood at the light for a minute. Like you would get like a real human drama vibe from it if you could see the whole video. Because I went to the light and I stood there for a minute, and then I said, you know, I gotta get my opinion out here for this. So I turned
this is direct democracy. The most direct democracy. If I was riding my bike and saw a trifold sign and they were doing a tally, I'd be like, well, I want my voice to be heard.
That's how I felt, dude. I was like, I gotta fucking let these people know what I'm thinking about student athletes getting paid.
Which the show, it was a foundational part of the show.
Foundational part of Street Fight.
Originally,
actually.
people around us and everyone that we knew hated us, hated our guts. Because we talked endless trash about Ohio State exploiting the people that they're making all the money off of for like Kroger bobbleheads and Buckeye cruises and shit, you know?
Yeah.
And people hated us for it.
So I walked up to the thing and I marked yes, they should be paid. Of course they should be fucking paid. They make $1 billion off of them. Like, why wouldn't they get fucking paid? Where does that money even go? I know they say it goes back into the school, and then they're like, well, then they'd have to pay the swimmers too, and it's like, no shit.
Yeah.
You have to, like,
now we're talking.
That's what they always say. Like, I've talked to people who are like, you know, they want us to pay the football players, and then that don't mean paying the basketball players, and then that means paying the lacrosse players, and I'm like, and like also other things where people could potentially be injured while they were doing it and never be able to do it again.
Everybody in this motherfucker gets paid. Like, let's make sure.
Yeah. So I just walked up to the thing and I said, I think I looked at it and I said, all labor should be paid. But I said it with pain in a weird way. Like I had a real gruff voice going on. You know, I don't know why I did it.
No, you said, yes, they're workers.
Yeah. Yes, because they are working, was what I said.
Yes, because they're working.
Yeah, but they are fucking working. Going to fucking football.
Yeah.
I don't care if people play football for fun. Playing football on TV is
for
working.
money.
Yeah. Then you should get paid for it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like, the thing that fucking drives me the craziest about college athletes not getting paid is when you turn the fucking game on and they're going to kick a field goal and they pull up that big net so the ball doesn't go in the audience and it has a fucking Allstate, like, insignia on it. And I'm like, how much did they get paid for that?
Yeah,
you know?
So it's not like there's no money.
I know. I know. It's just like, so... I mean, there were 3 people that said they shouldn't get paid, and I wanted to, like, stand around and wait until one of them showed up and be like, why don't you think they should get paid?
There was video evidence, and you have to go check it out. It's the biggest wiener in the world. It's exactly who you would expect.
Oh, what did he say? Can
it's
you tell
somebody
me what
that
he
wore
said?
slacks and loafers.
I was about to say, was he wearing a tie?
Was there tradition? Did he bring up tradition? Because that's what always
I don't
is
think
tradition.
They didn't say.
Tradition.
I don't remember the quote of the naysayer.
He said, I can guarantee he said one of 3 things.
I'll investigate.
Tradition. Oh, we've never paid amateur athletes, so it's tradition, you know? And by the way, even if the school isn't paying the athletes, these dudes should be allowed to sign endorsement deals.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's crazy to say they can't make any money.
The school can literally make money off of selling their names and their likenesses to like video games and shit. Right?
Jerseys.
Why
Yeah,
can't I-
jerseys. Like,
Why can't I give my old clothes to somebody for a free tattoo? Like, why are you involved in that transaction?
Right.
Yeah.
That was the big scandal that happened.
Isn't that what the California thing isn't like that the schools have to pay the athletes. It's that the athletes can sign endorsement deals.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is fair, because any athlete that could sign an endorsement deal is probably already endorsing shit.
Yeah.
Because he's a star and they're using his likeness
Yeah.
to make money, you know? So it's just, I don't know. And the other thing people say is because they're getting an education, and it's like, what the fuck is an education if I didn't even want to go anyway?
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
if I was a fucking great football player, I would be like, I don't want to go to school, man. Like, what am I going to school for? I could just go make a bunch of money playing football.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and even if it is a temporary thing, I mean, it's better to have somebody make a couple $100,000 in sponsors for a few years and end up trying to figure out something else with their life instead of just fucking using them.
It's
I mean,
also
especially football, people are getting hurt doing that.
Yeah,
shit.
I had a big patio argument with some people that were, I'm so disgusted by CTE, and like, I'm a wrestling fan, and I don't want people to get injured, but if athletic dudes want to play football for a while, they should get at least some fucking money for it. Like, I'm not going to tell them they can't do it.
Also, a lot of these college players aren't coming from money, and they don't have time to have a job, so they're just like barely getting by. They don't have enough money for their like housing and shit, where the college is making millions of dollars off them.
And we're also focused basically on the male football team, but it's also like the women's sports team. It's every other person there that is like, generating ticket sales and concessions and merchandise and all of that stuff.
And I think I do want to say that, like, the reason I focus on the male football players is because that is generating an incredible amount of money.
Yeah.
And a lot of those dudes do come from, like, not from money, and like, they're forced to live, and it destroys their body. It takes playing football could take years off of your career. Like, every time you play football, it takes time off of it, and the stories of the dudes that have like had their backs broken in college football, or like have had their fucked their MCL up and were never able to play again, and then they never realized that potential that they had when they were in college. Like, you are making guys take their prime earning years and do it basically for free. Because again, I don't think people should be made to go to college. Like, if I don't want to go to college, I don't want to fucking go to college. I don't see why they have to go. And the reason they have to go is because in Columbus, everybody needs to have this football team. Like, like the whole city is tied into this fucking football team.
Yeah, and I mean, we're making the schools free anyways, so like, what's it worth that you're going to school? Like, we're just gonna nobody's paying for that.
That is the goal, to make it free. So
the only naysayer was basically just like a Gadsden flag waiver. They said, I can see how in favor of not allowing that to be the case, one man said, which is really just like, well, I mean, if these liberals are saying something, I'm immediately against it.
Yeah.
That's like
he
what
scratched his chin too when he was going like this, and he was like, I mean, allow me to be devil's advocate here.
Yeah, this is they served that up by saying some people acknowledge the other side of the argument. But this guy closes his quote by saying, but I do think that someone should be able to make a profit for themselves outside of that university.
Yeah, libertarians.
So they're saying like, I should be able to sign contracts with Under Armour or Nike or whoever.
I think they should too. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
so that's not even a naysayer.
They didn't have it. Nobody thinks that they shouldn't be paid. Okay. Here's the thing. There are people that genuinely believe that they shouldn't be paid, but the tide, I think, has turned so much now that I think they're gonna start. It's gonna be the same way that like people feel ashamed of being against gay marriage back when they were against gay marriage. Like, the tide's gonna start turning.
Yeah, so it'll happen like that.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's like That was like a big deal. I always bring this up, but like in 2014 we vote. That's 15 years ago. It's not that long ago. 2004. Like we voted against gay marriage in Columbus, Ohio, and Ohio, period. And it was like, holy shit, you know, like that was only 15 years ago. Like, I can't believe that.
It was sad.
There was no, I mean, but there wasn't. It didn't feel like there was any organizing happening in the city at that time. You know what I mean? Like at the time, I'm sure there were leftists, and I always know that there are there's always been leftists organizing against stuff. But like at the time, I remember having so much energy, but not being able to figure out what was going on. I don't think there were DSA chapters, or if there were, it was just a few people doing it. And I don't think there were like socialist alternatives.
Yeah, all
and
the
stuff
different
like
orgs.
that.
Yeah. So what is going on with Columbus DSA?
Funny you should ask. So, I mean, there's like tons of things going on. Basically, so I'm the chair of the housing committee, and we're building a Columbus tenants union, if that sounds like a good idea to you. Like basically, just to do the kind of things that unions do, like building some like tenant power so we can fight back against like unacceptable living conditions in places. If cities try to like condemn a property, you know, like fighting back against the city's like plan to develop the place into like
unifying the renters into like a force that can be used to wield their power.
Yeah, and we're doing that slowly, like property by property, just patiently building relationships, getting tenants involved in the organizing work. They're taking things over themselves. They're running these things.
I mean, and New York City has made a lot of fucking like big wins in that department.
Yeah, no, we've been talking to those people too. All of the different DSA housing groups have been talking to each other and sharing ideas, and we're like going to keep doing that over the next couple months. We've been talking to the people in Cleveland who won a big lead paint thing, their housing group up there, with a coalition called Clash.
That's great.
There's a couple of new working groups that have formed that just have like really talented people and are eventually going to be doing really cool stuff. Like some of the smartest people I know are in the labor working group that's going to start trying to do like union stuff. And this Saturday there's a event that's like called Labor 101. It's going to be at the Northwood High building, which is just north of OSU. It's and it's going to be like 11 to 1. And basically that's going to be like for socialists and for like left-wing people, for activists to like learn the basics of like the labor movement, what it is, how to like work in the labor movement, how to support the labor movement, you know, how to organize from scratch or how to work with existing unions, what they do.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for that.
That's
there'll be bagels and coffee there too.
Cool. That's a place that's across from Cafe Kerouac.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
If y'all know that.
But I mean, no, go ahead.
I was going to say we also have an electoral working group. We've endorsed our first candidate, who's a candidate for city council, named Liliana Rivera Bayman.
Just found out.
Yeah, she is an open democratic socialist and a member of our chapter. She is a former dreamer who's since been naturalized. She's a labor organizer and a young mother. And she is, you know, done with all the bullshit that our city council is doing.
Jacobin did an article about her.
Yeah,
yes, they did.
Yes.
She's also been endorsed by DSA nationally, which is really exciting. So,
and that's this election.
Yes, that's this election. As in, tomorrow is the deadline to make sure you're registered to vote. So,
and they've been purging people.
They have.
Yeah.
So, if you live in Columbus and you want to vote for a Democratic Socialist for city council, make sure you're registered to vote tomorrow. And we should talk about EcoSoc.
Yeah, so we have been building up, we had an EcoSoc reading group for a while, Eco-Socialism, talking about like the theories of that, talking about the Green New Deal. And there is like a big thing to talk about with that, like a big regional project that we want to do eventually where we turn the Great Lakes region into like the engine of the Green New Deal. But on the local level, they are planning, their big project is going to be organizing a transit riders union. There's a big one in Pittsburgh. There's a big one in Cleveland. One of the people who started the one in Pittsburgh and helped the people in Cleveland get things started is in Columbus now.
Oh, great.
So we've texted her. She's
Perfect.
come out and like started helping them. So, you know, that's like another outside the workspace space that Columbus DSA is trying to like build a union. But,
wonderful.
you know, with the tenants union, it took forever. It was like a year, more than a year of just hard work at this one property, working with these tenants, letting them know that like we were there to stay and that we were serious. So the transit riders union is probably going to take a while to get off the ground too, but I think it would be a big deal, and another way to like fight the like development of the city and to push instead for like a Columbus for the many.
You have to find out who's in it for the long haul.
Yeah,
but then momentum builds eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a lot of work to do. We're at a point where we're ready with a lot of different campaigns, a lot of working groups to just like expand and like take power in this city, and we'll do it either way, but it's going to be like really difficult if we don't get some help from people. So like, if you're in Columbus, come out. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Every Tuesday we have a happy hour at the Rehab Social Tavern. You can come talk to us there.
We're there from 7 to 9 every Tuesday. I'm always there. It's my baby. So, it's every Tuesday.
Getting drunk.
Yes, but
we are trying to
perfectly. If you don't drink, perfectly welcome to come. If you don't drink, they have very good tater tots. We always have those. Did you say narc?
Yeah, that's all. I was just saying that a narc would come and not drink. No, I'm kidding. I don't drink. So
no, we are trying to do. We're trying to do some like hikes and other social things too. But that's like still building up. It's like the happy hour. That's the thing people come to. Sure. But the we also, every second Thursday is the general meeting of the chapter where you can come and talk to us. That is also at the Northwood High building for the moment, and it's also at 7.
Yeah.
Great.
We have a calendar on columbusdsa.org, so you can go check that out, add it to your Google Calendar.
But like the last like big plug thing, I mean, just to like summarize, that's like this week there's a bunch of shit. You can come to the happy hour every Tuesday. You can come this Thursday is the general meeting, so you can come to the general meeting and talk to us. And then this Saturday at that Northwood High building, there's this labor event if you're interested in learning how to do that kind of thing.
Perfect.
But yeah, I mean, like, there's a ton of shit going on. That's not all of it. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
That's just a taste. If you're in the Columbus area and you want to get involved, they told you where to find them. We appreciate you being here. You want to see what these people got to say?
Hell yeah.
Take some calls?
You guys taking calls with us.
Let's
I was not going to make them take calls with us, but Brett did. So it's they're having to deal with it now. It's beyond me,
I'm not going to drive all the way over here on a Sunday night and not take calls.
Let's take some calls.
I mean, the great thing about them is that they have the spirit of organization, and I just like whipped them into shape and was like, we're going to do a call-in show, and they're like, we're ready to do this, and
that's a
smiles on their faces. So let's see who this first call is. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
This is me, Abby.
Hey, Abby, how are you?
Hey, great. I'm ABCD. I called before about. I said whether you want to talk about ICE or when ICE got me fired or something else, but now I can talk about when ICE got me fired.
Yeah, I got to hear how did ICE get you fired? ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is that what that stands for, actually?
Yeah.
I think?
Yeah.
How did ICE get you fired?
Well, I brought up, I kept a record of my tweets. On February 4th, 2018, I tweeted, "Holy shit. There is a 24-hour ICE headquarters in Williston, Vermont. There's like a national data center in suburban Vermont and then I tweeted, I always forget my background check is still pending 2 years in, and that the State Department reads my Twitter. In unrelated news, ICE is awesome. Love the work they do." So that was on a Sunday. So at this point, I worked at a place that made government documents, and so I was under a rather lengthy background check. So on Monday, I came in and they fired me.
Yeah, I mean, ICE name searches like crazy. You know, like they're the most vanity searching of the government agencies. You do really hear a lot about ICE busting people for online shit. You know,
it's the Brett Stevens of the agencies.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's literally, that's all I said. I just said, that's all I said about ICE. And then they dug up like everything bad I'd ever said about my boss, and then sent it to him.
That's probably
so
uncomfortable.
You're called in.
Was that an uncomfortable conversation?
Yeah. Kind of.
I hate it when you get busted for some shit at work that is like really behind the scenes. Like if you I used to talk shit about this. So I went to HR one time when I worked at the cable company because they did a quality control check on one of my jobs, and they said that I didn't tighten it with a wrench, and I took it, like basically if you missed one thing, they were like, you failed the job, right? So I failed the fucking thing, and I went in and I went to HR. I sat down across from the woman and I said, hey, I don't have any way to know this for sure, but I distinctly remember tightening that thing. There was somebody else with me and they saw me tighten the thing. I think that the manager and the lead are fucking around and they're trying to get me in trouble. Fucking the next morning, I came into work and they're like, hey, they need you in HR. And me, the HR lady, the manager, and the lead sitting in the room with each other. And I had to like sit and have this conversation. Like, I just don't think you guys like me, I guess. I don't know.
But like, wait, Abby, so like, ICE is name searching themselves, finding people talking shit, and then narking them out to their bosses? Like, are you doing something that's connected to ICE at all, or are you just like some random person?
I know. No, I think it was because I called out the State Department. Because I had a background check undergoing. And so I think whoever was supposed to monitor my account was like, so she sent all the bad things I ever said about work on Twitter to my boss, but it was okay. I got all my vacation paid out, so
yeah, it gives you a few extra weeks off. So that's nice. Like, when you get all your vacation and shit and all those hours paid out, at least you're, like, a little comfortable for a few weeks. Not me, because I just, anytime you give me a bunch of money, I'm like, I should probably buy a ton of weed, because who knows when I'm going to have money the next time.
Yeah, good point.
As soon as I quit my job at the cable company, I got my vacation check, and I bought an ounce of weed. And I was like, I don't even know where my next money is coming from at all, but I was just like, I'll just spend $500 real quick on that, and then I won't, I'll set it down. I won't even have to think about weed anymore for a while. And it didn't last very long. I would say that.
I just took a 2-month vacation. I was like, I'm just gonna sit on my ass in the winter in Vermont and like worked on some dumb animation project that I never finished, but
hell yeah,
it worked out.
Well, I'm glad everything worked out for you, and I really appreciate you calling tonight.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Have a good one. Peace.
Can you imagine getting fired because we have 10? Yeah, can you imagine getting fired because you badmouth your boss and then you have to go sit with the boss while they fire you? I mean, most bosses would be a fucking chicken shit coward anyway.
Yeah,
and
they
just
all
do
are.
it another way. Yeah.
You know, it was wild. The last, my boss got fired from this place. That was really weird. She made this dedication to it where she was like, I really want to just give it a 6-month shot. And I'm like, this is all red flags. It was like super small business tyrant. It was a husband and wife. And the husband ran one side of the business and the wife ran the other side of the business. So, all of the implications of that for the Street Fight listeners that know what that means. When it came down to her getting fired, she was in her chair and the secretary comes up and says, ma'am, Laura would like to have a word with you. And she looks over and Laura is there, standing in the same cubicle, like with another coworker. And she looks at Laura, and then she looks back at the secretary, and she goes, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Laura would like to meet you in the private room." And she goes, "She's right there." And the lady just looked away. And then the secretary just let it sit and was like, "She needs to meet you in the conference room." But it was just like such an odd like ceremony or like, well, I guess if we're going to not have this situation happen, we might as well all sit in a room together. We might as well have an awkward interaction where I have more power over you and you do what I say, you know? It's fucked up, sorry. I got too deep in there. That shit's shitty.
Yeah.
So weird. All right, let's see who our next caller is. This is a frequent caller. They've called more than once. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, it's Kayla.
Hey, Kayla, what's up? We know you.
Howdy doody.
I just like
one of my faves.
I just poured water on the parts that connect to the electricity over here.
Don't do that.
So that was a mistake I made. I apologize for that.
Brian's having a real one over here.
Yeah.
Kayla's one of the creators of the Lonnie's Shoebox, one of the OGs of that. And continuing, you have a boutique you're running too, right?
Yeah, we just launched our website. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff. It's called Metamorphosis Mobile Boutique, and it's a mutual aid project that, yeah, I've been, like, doing way too much unpaid work for, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, they call that sweat equity in, like, the tech industry. But it sucks. It's not worth anything.
I'm sorry, it's
yeah,
Madam
like,
who?
when do I get to cash this out? There's never going to be a point, and I know that, but I'm also kind of like, it doesn't matter because it's what I want to be doing, and I don't know. It does get easier, too, with time, I guess. I just got back from a leadership retreat that Philly Socialists, like, did. So I'm just, like, trying to, like, take all of that in and, like, kind of absorb it. And I was like, oh, my gosh, it's the call-in show. I want to call in. So it's cool that there's DSA people on right now.
Yeah,
thanks for calling.
Okay.
No, it sounds like the Philly Socialists have been doing a bunch of good work lately.
There's a lot of interesting, cool stories coming out of Philly. They also had that... the barista, they had that all shared. They had a Google Drive file, a huge spreadsheet that everybody shared their wages and tips.
Yeah,
hell yeah,
yeah, that's
I like
dope.
that.
Yeah, there's a lot of organizing going on in that city.
It's a good city.
I watched,
it's like a very Lonnie city.
I watched an Instagram live of them protesting outside of Netroots Nation. Like, yeah, it's a wild city.
I love that city because there's trash all over the place and everybody's crazy.
Everyone like parks in the middle of the road.
Yeah, it rocks. I love it there. We went there and we were sitting at a bar and talking to Trevor Hagelbond from Twitter. We're just sitting there having a conversation, and this guy's like, "Oh, you got to see this video of this plane crashing and everybody dying." And he just shows it to us, and then he's like, "Oh, there's one from inside the plane too. You got to check that out." And we're kind of just sitting there like, "Oh, geez,
very
very uncomfortable." I don't want to see this, but yeah, he was.
It was fun.
It was fun. I love that place.
He was like, it's this, and then it's just, whew, and he just like snaps his fingers and was like, "Can I get our check? Can we go?"
Yeah, one of my relatives was working with somebody there who was extremely Philly woman, and she was just like shocked to find out that this woman had a smart car that just totally seemed out of character for her until she figured out that she had a smart car so that when she wanted to pass people, she could drive on the sidewalk.
That's why I want a smart car. That's why I want a what's that thing I want? The slingshot. That's why I want a slingshot. You can drive them on the sidewalk or really anywhere.
What is a slingshot?
It's a real dad vehicle.
It's like a 3-wheeled motorcycle.
I've seen those things.
You can put LED lights under it and big speakers on it that play Bob Seger.
Yeah.
Do you have to?
You have to, yeah.
It's the law. You have to play Bob Seger on it. And you got to put a support the veterans sticker on it, too.
Yeah, they come with it, yeah.
I mean, there's so much registration these days. The government's up your ass. They make you do it.
Yeah.
So what's doing, Kayla?
I mean, lots of stuff is going on. I've only been in Philly 3 months, and I have not let myself stop doing things. So it's just very overwhelming because I've wanted to be here for a very long time.
Uh-huh.
So now that I'm actually here, it's just, I don't know, it's very surreal.
Well, I mean, you're piloting the meat wagon, and you're very young, and I was terrible at piloting the meat wagon at your age. I was just the worst, and was just going from catastrophe to catastrophe. So as long as you can try to keep it between the lines, you're on the right path, And also, are you calling everything a John now? Because I do still. My wife is like, what? She's like, what is John? I don't even fucking get it. I'm like, it's like anything you want, man. It's like the word fuck. It's like open. It's everything. It's like all of it is John.
Yeah, it's a John. I don't know
Everything.
I'm trying that.
For sure.
I did it on the radio. Great.
There's not a ton of difference
Am
between.
I a real Philadelphia now?
I mean, you picked the right northeastern city to move from Florida to.
Yeah,
I
mean,
think.
you get the nitty gritty, dirty city that we saw on all of the movies that we loved when we were younger. But it's affordable, and you're and there's artists there, and you're not you're not paying for a shared bathroom and shit.
I do have to ask you a question, Kayla, because this comes up on the Bubba the Love Sponge episode of Shocktober too. And you're a Florida person from Florida or lived in Florida for a period of time.
Uh-huh.
And Geiger from Report This Post, Shrek Piss Slave Online, was telling me this, and I made a guess on the show, and I said, Florida, most people there probably running away from the Florida man designation. People don't want to be thought of as Florida man. Yeah. And Geiger told me that I was 100% wrong about that, and that people actually want to be known as Florida man down there. Oh, Can you comment on that?
Yeah, okay. I'm so glad you brought this up. I'm very passionate about this issue. So, number one, it's super, reclaimed now. It definitely is. It has been reclaimed. And I think it's great that it's being reclaimed because, the Florida man trope is just classism anyways.
Yeah.
Well, it's
also...
I don't know,
It's also 30%... I don't know if you all know this, but only 30% of the people that live in Florida are from Florida. So when they say Florida man, they're taught... 70% of the people that live in the fucking state are from somewhere else.
It's also, it's just a records thing. They have some law about the way that they release their records that just means that the records of all the crimes and arrests are way more available than in other states. It's not because they're any more rocket. I'm sure all of that shit happens.
It's
here.
classism too, because taking an ATV to the grocery store gets better gas mileage than a Prius. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
It's way more friendly for the environment to take a girl's bike that you were traded in a deal to get around than to be driving a minivan with one person in it.
No,
so
and
it's bullshit.
All of the oligarchs do their nude crimes in their mansions.
It kind of reminds me that Tom Sexton brings it up a lot when you're around him. But he said there's a lot of folks now that work in coal because it's a very small amount of people, and the ones that do, they kind of leave the grease on their hands and on their face and go to the bar, kind of be heroes, have people buy them drinks and shit, and kind of soak it up. It's now something to be revered, where Tom said his grandfather was kicked out of every goddamn place there was for having, company script or whatever it was.
No, I should say this. I should actually say this now that you bring up Tom. I am co-hosting Trillbillies this week. So
wow.
Oh, man. I love that podcast so much.
If y'all want to... Terrence could not make it. And Tom and I were talking on text, and he asked me to co-host with him because he said he needs someone who can anchor a conversation, which I cannot do. So we're going to have a little conversation.
But I can only drag you into his conversation.
I think that's what Tom's counting on. So, I had wondered, that it is funny because, the reason I brought it up is because Bubba the Love Sponge did get a new radio job. And it's on something called Florida Man Radio. And I said that it just made me...
It's cool. I mean, When we were down there, it was immediately like there was guys that were fried by the sun, had like frosting tips hair, like the bleach blondie hair, board shorts, open shirt, and were probably as fucked up as I was, right? Like they were doing the same thing. They were living the same life. Like I've had a lot of realization that like I'm doing the same crimes as all like the people. I'm just trying to be very undercover about it. Mm-hmm. But Florida man is just as much of like of committing felonies as I am.
I mean, Ohio and Florida are like sister cities.
Yeah, we
that
I mean,
thing anyway. Like for real, they say like before Florida man really took off, it was sort of a competition. In a way, between are we going to say only in Ohio or only in Florida? You know what I'm saying? Like before that took off, people were making fun of Ohio in kind of the same way. I think one of the reasons is because Ohio and Florida are states that have a few big cities. Ohio has like 3 big cities and then like a bunch of small ones where, of course, weird stuff happens.
Yeah.
Between Columbus and Cleveland.
And it's the only thing that happens there. So.
I mean,
you're either in or out. Yeah. You either know what the deal is or not.
Yeah. There's, of course, weird shit happens.
Dank Metal, Western Pennsylvania. Same place. Like you roll up to a spot and you know the culture or you don't.
Yeah, of course weird shit happens in places where like everybody fucking knows each other. Everybody knows the cops. The cops know everybody. Yeah. And then in Florida, I've noticed that there's a lot of like with the Florida man thing, the thing that they like to make fun of the most is fucking like that like Florida man was fucking naked and fucking around with an alligator. And it's like, there's a lot of fucking alligators down in Florida and sometimes you're probably gonna fucking run into one. And you know what? I saw a guy running naked at the Scioto Mile last week. He was fucking buck ass naked, nowhere near a car. Nowhere. Like he was running in the middle. You could not park anywhere near where he was running. But he was not on a trail. He was running next to the river. So he wasn't bothering nobody, and nobody was saying anything to him, and he was just having a nice naked run in the fucking park.
Bless.
But that wasn't on the fucking news, because I looked it up the next day. I looked up naked guy, Scioto Mile. And nothing came up, because I was like, what the fuck was that naked guy up to, man?
Well, and he's just living life, Brian.
How did he get there? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, that's why I said there was nowhere to park. How does a naked guy get there?
Tearaway pants.
True.
So did this naked guy just seriously not get in trouble?
Like, who's gonna catch him?
Nobody said it. He was jogging, and one guy said,
I mean, people will watch. People will like turn away from like a crime right in front of them.
This is Ohio.
If there's a crime running away from them, they're not going to chase it down.
Right.
They don't want to confront people.
Everyone just assumes somebody else is dealing with it.
Right. I've told this story in the past. I might not have told it on the air. It might have been something I just told Brett. But like, I one time was walking at night. Like at 10 o'clock at night, and I was walking down like walking down High Street. It's close to 5th Avenue. There's a lot of like distressed people that hang out around there because the jail drops people off there. Yeah. That's where they the jail puts people on a bus and drops them off right there, and then they kind of disperse. And there's a church there that feeds people and shit like that. And like I was walking, and there was a guy laying half on the curb. Half in the street, right? Like he's half on the sidewalk, half in the street, legs on the sidewalk, head in the street, not far enough to get run over. His head wasn't sticking out far enough that he would get run over. His whole fucking dick and ass was hanging out, and 3 guys were just standing around him, and I was like, well, I assume they got it all taken care of. But they were like laughing at him, and I just kept walking because I was like, I don't, like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck. I don't know how to handle something like that. And then you're like, as you're walking, you're like, well, what you would do in that situation is call a number, an emergency number of some sort, and then who would come? You know what I mean? And that's why I didn't do it.
No, that's not true. If somebody's passed out, you say like, who's in charge of you? Like, do you have like a spouse? Do you have like a mom or a dad? Do you have like an emergency number? Can I get you a bus ticket back to wherever you're supposed to be? Is the real that's the starting point.
Sure. There were 3 guys, though, there sitting by him. I assumed that they had him handled. Of course, it's funny because his penis is hanging out. Well, that's funny.
But here's the thing, too, I want to say, is that the Florida man, the Ohio man, all of it is essentially classism because if you have enough money, like we talked about on the show, Brian goes to community festivals where everybody is dropping hundreds of dollars because it raises money for the schools and the community, and they're buying beers for $6 and $7. That's like a local brewery. They're paying $8 a pop.
Yeah.
But like somebody that only has $8 for the night for beer, that wants to get fucked up like everybody else in the world is doing, doesn't have like a playground to go and do that. They are just on the street, like, and but they are not doing anything that we are not doing. Like all of us are just as fucked up. It's just that I can do my like cocaine and ecstasy at like a fashionable bowling alley where I'm spending $180 for the night. You know?
Yeah. No,
listen.
I'm like.
I just walked by two white people. I just walked by two people at a park, both white woman, white man. Piss fucking drunk.
Yeah.
Laying down in the grass on a blanket, dressed very nice, straight up holding a bottle of wine out. Like she had it on her knee where it was like almost advertising that she was in the park drinking wine. And I was just like, if that was like beer, if that was a 40-ounce beer, they would have fucking gone to jail.
That's
you
exactly
would go to jail
it.
for that. And there were people walking by her saying like, yeah, I like the way you think and stuff like that.
As opposed to like looking away.
Yeah.
I feel like what every kid in some like rich frat at some private college is doing is exactly the same or worse as Florida
Much worse.
Man.
Yeah, much worse than Florida Man. No, go ahead.
Hey, I'm sorry. I also think that there's a lot of stuff that happens like that just because of visibility. Like, just in general, we're policing people more because they're more visible.
Right.
Because it's like, okay, like, you know, and I've thought about that a lot. Like, in my periods of time when I have been homeless, like, I was constantly feeling like, you know, like micromanaged by the people just around me in general. Like everybody had something to say about my situation and unsolicited advice and just like, oh, like I saw that you like bought some weed the other day. Like why would you do that? Like when you're in between places, like how dare you?
Right.
You know? And it's like, fuck you. Like, what, like, am I coming into like your life and telling you how to spend your money? I mean, just because it's more visible to you, or like just because I'm not like, you know, hiding the fact that this is my situation. That's another thing. Like, I'm very clear about my struggles, and sometimes like being so clear about it and like open, I feel like opens me up to like a lot of, you know, that type of thing, like critique or whatever. But I want to do it so that other poor people realize, like, you know, you're not the only person who's going through these things, and a lot of people are, you know. So I don't know. I just feel like this like classism thing that goes back to like these tropes of like Ohio man, Florida man thing. Like I don't know. I feel like it's good to reclaim it and like be like, hey, like, yeah, we are, you know, this is what we're doing, and so are you, and like, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, that's like, I mean, that's like the difference, like buying like hard drugs from like a white dude. Like, I'm so comfortable, can do whatever I want, and then I had an experience in the last couple months where I bought it from a black guy and showed up to his house, and he like sent me a text where he was like, we don't meet at houses. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize, like, you're being targeted. Like, you're the one that they want to send to jail. Like, the lily white neighborhoods where people are doing drugs and shit, it's okay. People think it's safe and they know what they're doing. And they're spending all their time and money generating income from other folks that are on the same get down as everybody else, you know?
Yeah.
It's great. And people don't know it firsthand. And it's hard to explain because it's such a distorted thing, you know. It just becomes these tropes of like Florida Man or those Law and Order TV shows and bullshit like that.
Yeah, thank you.
I think also. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't talk, Kayla. Don't. We keep moving you into different. It's not your fault.
We have a big queue.
Yeah. But what were you gonna say?
No. And I really don't want to take up too much time either. I just like one last thing that like really came up for me about that is like I think we're supposed to think that like it just buys back into this like crazy, like poor people are crazy, you know, they can't be trusted, don't listen to them, you know,
Right.
look at like you just like it basically makes it so that you're not listening to poor people
Yeah.
because it's invalidating like that they could say something, you know, sane.
I don't think
Yeah.
I did
Or
it eloquent.
behave.
I didn't do it eloquently enough, but there was a Twitter thing of Joe Biden this week about the middle class, and like something when I started this was like just the idea of the middle class always presumes a lower class, and that lower class is always going to be people that are discarded and that we leave behind, and I'm not into that idea whatsoever. It's everybody together on this. It's not like there's nobody that like deserves to live a life of complete horror and like terror and like no, without safety or care and concern from the rest of us just because of, you know, where they were born or their life decisions or whatever it may be. We do such a horrible job in this country, and we have a real lower class. It sucks because like I know you're a younger person now, and now I'm growing up and I have friends that have like moved into areas that are, you know, like they're up and coming, and like I'm looking at buying houses, and me and Erica are like really battling about it. Erica's like, I don't want to be like the people that kicks these people out of their fucking neighborhood. It's going to happen either way. But like, do I want to be the face of it? Do I want to be the one that's like, you know, shares recipes with them before they like move away in 3 or 4 years, you know? Like it's really like it's really gross and open, and it's like a big part of our culture, and like that's what scares me, like the democratic solution, the democratic thinking, what's going on with those people is one that just relies on there always being a lower class.
Yeah.
Like that's what they live on, is like, well, there's going to be a middle class of people that are smarter than the lower class, and the lower class will be punished until they turn into the middle class. And it makes no fucking sense, and it doesn't work, and it's not fair.
Yeah.
You know, we're creating it's fucked up. But you all know that. That's why you listen to Street Fight, right?
Yeah,
That's why you're in the DSA. That's why you're running your studio. Now, what do? You offer. You're not making money, right? You're not like us. You're not a disgusting LLC or anything, are you?
No. So it's right now, like it's very like loose. I receive funding via like grants for projects, like grassroots projects. Like I've received like 2 very small grants from this organization called Peace First. So they give out micro grants to like youth doing what they call peacemaking projects.
Mm-hmm. So
I've received like some funding via that, and I just got news that I reapplied and I'm getting it again. So that's $240.
Yeah. Big money. Big
you
money.
know, it's like ridiculous. But
Yeah.
it's money. And the thing is too, like I have been really good about like, you know, if I need laundry detergent, being like, hey y'all, I need laundry detergent.
Yeah, very diligent.
Or, you know, it's just like about allocating resources. Like,
But what's
scarcity
the
is, like,
but what's
totally
the
make-believe.
what's the project? What are you doing with the? Tell everybody what you're doing with the clothes and everything.
Yeah, what was the name of it again, too?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I
No, please.
I
You're doing
forgot
fine.
To do that part. So basically, I am collecting donations from the community. I am cleaning, sorting, and organizing them, and I'm keeping track of them. Like I itemize them into an inventory system, and then I keep track of what I have. And I use Square to do that, and I just give 100% discount on everything. So I can, you know, use the Square reports. I can understand, like I found out recently that, like, the average person that comes to my boutique is taking away $81 worth of clothing donations. And I was really happy to see that high of a number, because a lot of projects, like, similar to what I'm doing will set like limits, you know, like, 5 items per person, or, you know, only a certain amount per person. And while I think that is good intentions, like, I have what I like to call a good bad problem of like way too many clothing donations to handle.
Yeah.
And I've received like crazy stuff, like Versace suits and like,
You can send those to me.
Gucci stuff
Actually,
and-
you can send the Gucci stuff to me.
Yeah.
I'm looking to get into that kind of
Given
thing.
away.
Oh, geez.
So let me know if I get this wrong or not. Your intentions is to offer it to people that like are like can't afford clothing or transitioning or homeless or what's the aim?
So it's a mutual aid project. So really, like my main focus is just to share resources. I don't like to say like I'm running this project and it's for this group of people. Like it's an LGBT friendly project. Like it's not like specifically for like, and I think that's what most nonprofits do wrong is like they say like, okay, we're gonna help this one specific group of people, like LGBT youth ages whatever to whatever, right? And
I love it.
It isolates like who you can help. So
Yeah.
I help everyone. Anybody who needs help. Yes, it's gonna be like in an LGBT inclusive environment. Yes, I am LGBT youth focused, but I try to stay away from that type of.
I love it.
Limit. Like I think it's very limiting.
Yeah, you're a baller. I agree.
So,
I agree. I think that. So what you got here, I had this tendency too, where somehow I couldn't stop amassing clothing. Like I had hundreds of T-shirts from the thrift store and stuff like that. So you have some sort of clothing problem that you've turned into
I do.
a really great business.
I do.
I love collecting garments. I love looking at the stitching. I love looking at the labels. I love trying them on and imagining these really great places that I could stun on people in them. I did send you a box full of stuff of some of Erica's old shit that was really good actually, like does shit,
Erica
not like bad
and I
shit.
are the same size.
Great.
And I'm not even gonna lie. I have been wearing, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm wearing Street Fight wife clothing.
Yeah. I don't.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Like,
I don't want to be too heteronormative, but someday if you're a wife, you'll get to buy clothes, and then the next weeks I have nothing to wear. So expect some more stuff from Erica if that's your size. She always has clothes that are not right anymore.
So, Kayla, when you say you have
it's
too much
also,
clothes,
like, I like to call it healthy hoarding.
Yes.
Because I am definitely a hoarder, and this is my healthy way of doing that.
I turned it into a business too. I had an eBay thing where I would just buy clothes that I thought were really fucking cool. I would wear them a few times, and then I would just put them on eBay, and I had like a huge rotation of stuff. I'm sorry, Kristen had a question.
Oh, I was going to say, you say you have too much clothes. Does that mean we should wait on sending you stuff? Because I have a bunch of clothes that I have just been sitting in my room for like a year because I can't figure out what to do with them because I don't want to give them to Goodwill because apparently that's bad. But I haven't figured out what to do with them yet. And your thing sounds really awesome, but I don't want to overwhelm you.
Okay, no, you're not overwhelming me, and actually right now is a good time because both of my chapters are accepting donations. So my chapter in Orlando has just opened up to accepting donations again because we just figured out storage.
Cool.
And we're expanding, so like we're trying to do the same thing as Food Not Bombs, and like we just want to open a chapter in like every place that we can. So really, honestly, if you know somebody who would be interested in possibly like starting a chapter in Columbus, like
That's cool.
I could send over like some information because I'm writing a guide on how to start your own. Like I'm not just trying to like have this be like my thing, like I want it to be very like decentralized and just like I really was inspired by Food Not Bombs because I think that they do it right, and I think that that's kind of my goal. So it's like, I do have people mailing me clothing donations, but I would rather encourage people to organize their own chapter rather than like send donations outside of their community.
We did, I did not go to it. I didn't make the time. There was a clothing swap a few months back that I didn't get a chance to go to that looked really neat. It was basically one of those things is like, as long as you threw 10 items in, you could take whatever you want and you got to like shop early. Otherwise they were just raising money.
it's also just still very transactional. Like, so, like, to me, I don't want there to be any expectation. Like,
Right.
You know, because then that's another limiting thing. Like, people are already so used to, like, oh, wait, you're just going to give me free clothes? Do I have to sign up for something?
Right.
Do you have to see my ID?
Right. That makes sense.
Like, I don't want any barriers to people getting these donations.
We do-
Like, I just want
That makes sense.
people to show up and take these free clothes, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. And you know, it's an odd thing because I've always had like some upper crust friends, and they have a tendency to just buy things and blow through them. And I've had hand-me-down clothes, like really nice shoes and clothes and housewares and all kinds of stuff that just ends up in my lap from happenstance. And you know, I have stuff even myself that I'd like to get rid of, but you know, it's like you said, like I don't want to take it to Goodwill and have them take advantage of somebody that's working there, or like give it to some sort of fucking homophobic group. Who knows? Like all that shit ends up blowing up. Like I started putting some of it in the Street Fight group, but it would be really nice to have like a centralized location of just like a storage bin of free fucking clothing that's like too nice to throw away, but like somebody else could get a lot of use out of it, you know? I don't even want the $10.
Yeah,
it's just that like, it's like, here's the thing is like, if I go on Facebook Marketplace and say free clothes, I'm just going to have like 25 people harass me and say, is this still available? And then never reply. But if I charge $10, someone will come over and leave a $10 bill on the fucking deck, you know?
Well, and it's also like really important, I think, to like realize that any of the nonprofit clothing places are like inherently like super not cool, just because of the idea that like in my mind, if you're getting something for free, you know, donated to you, and then you're selling that for money, like that just doesn't vibe with me. It just feels wrong. And I think that, you know, these clothing like nonprofits and like these places have just been like flying under the radar for so long. Like there's such a high, like I know that I could sell these clothes like that I am collecting, and people have told me like, Kayla, sell the clothes, like you can use the money to put it back into your programming.
Yeah,
you can blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like that is just like essentially not, like that's the complete opposite of my ethics. And I think, you know, what I've also realized is like, if you really want to help my project but you don't have extra clothes, like please send us laundry detergent. Like if you have extra laundry detergent, please send it my way.
Yeah,
or,
we can probably hook you up.
We have a wish list. We have a wish list of material items.
Yeah, tell us how to help
like,
out with the project
really bad.
before we wrap up here. What's the best way to help out?
So the best way would be to go to my website, which I just launched. It's Meta Mobile Boutique. So it's METAMOBILEBOUTIQUE.com.
You won the spelling bee.
Yay! Sorry, I just want to make sure that everybody knows how to spell it.
You're a clear communicator.
You can go to the tab that says help us or how to help us or something like that, and that's where the wish list is.
Excellent.
So that would be awesome.
Perfection.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Kayla. It's a pleasure as always. Thanks for calling us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and definitely get a slingshot.
Yeah, thank you.
I've been telling my
Ohio man.
We can before we get to the next call, I gotta say this. I was talking to my wife a couple days ago. We're taking a walk together, and I go like this to her. I go like, yeah, in 3 years, you know, I'm thinking about, wouldn't it be great in 3 years maybe we move to LA? When Gwen gets out of school, I get to live in LA. I haven't always wanted to live there, but since I visited there, I really like it.
Tupac sang about it.
Yeah, and it feels like I could like get things. It feels just LA seems like a great place, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about, and I was like, we move to LA, give the car to Gwen, get a slingshot? And
Yeah.
She's like, what? She's like, we're not getting a slingshot. And I was like, no, see, you're
Especially
acting
in
real
LA.
weird about this because everybody in California drives slingshots.
Yeah.
I was there. I've been there once.
Fuel efficient vehicles.
Everybody there was driving a slingshot. It's crazy. If we don't get a slingshot and move to California, we're going to be the only fucking people in California without a slingshot.
Well, everybody's gonna look at that Kia. I know you're from Ohio.
Well, I have to give the Kia away. So I'm trying to convince, because, okay, I was on High Street the other day, taking a walk through the Short North, saw a slingshot, had a roof on it, and windows. Like, somebody modded it to put a roof on it, and I was like, oh, you could drive a slingshot in all weather.
Yeah.
And then I don't have to get an expensive car. Slingshot is cheaper than a car. You know what I'm saying?
But you're
Probably better on gas. And also, you can put big speakers on the back of it, and everybody can hear what you're listening to.
When was the last time you drove a rear-wheel drive vehicle?
Well, I've never driven one. A motorcycle or anything
okay.
of that sort. I've never driven one.
Do
I'll
it
figure
on the
out.
ice. Yeah, on the ice it's pretty easy, I hear.
But it'll be fine. Yeah, the way I
There's
figure
not
it.
going to be any ice anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there'll be in LA.
there
There'll
probably
be
won't
no
be any
ice.
ice.
No, there's no
You
ice
know?
in LA for sure.
Yeah, if I move to LA, there's no ice, and it's probably not gonna snow here this year. I think it's gonna stay this way
Yeah, we're
all
done.
year. You know, and I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be. Oh, I am gonna be here all winter. For some reason, we decided not to tour in the winter this year. Well, it's because of the election shit.
Yeah, you're
but
going to Texas when it's still hot
It's gonna be 90 there
instead of in like
Can't wait.
January.
Yeah, and we said we'll just stay home between, November and April and then in April go to Florida, which is the smartest decision you could ever make. But what are you going to do during the fucking winter anyway? Because we booked the West Coast for November, and we just did all the warm places, so we can't just go back. Can I tell you a story real quick that's pretty funny?
Yes.
So I did Bugman's Bug Tour show on Friday night
Cleveland, Ohio.
in Cleveland, Ohio, and I did the struggle session portion. We talked about Joker, but there was a part in the show where we were talking about something. They were talking about how we didn't do a show in Cleveland when we did our tour, right? And I go like, I gotta tell you, there's this one day I'm walking, and a guy stops me and says, why the fuck didn't you why didn't you and Struggle Session do a live show in Columbus when you guys were together? And I said, I don't know, and I uncomfortably walked away. So I'm telling that story, and then the guy was like, that was me in the front row.
Not good.
And I was like, yeah, that was weird what you did, sir. It scared me.
It shook him.
It did. It really did. He cussed.
He did. It was out of nowhere. He didn't even say hi. He just saw you and said it.
He stood.
That's not good.
We were on the corner of Broad and High, which is the 0 number. Like that's the intersection.
Yeah.
And I'm getting ready to cross, and he just gets right next to me. He's in a fucking suit too, which is like weird.
Yeah.
Not weird.
Questionable.
He's a sweet.
Scary.
He seemed nice when I saw him in
But
Cleveland.
fuck suits.
But a guy in a suit walks up to you and is aggressive to you. You're
seems
like,
like some,
he's
like-
gonna fucking kill me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like some secret agent shit. That's like
Yeah.
some Agent Smith.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
the reason we
Matrix.
didn't do it is because we just did a fucking show here. Come on. We can't do 100 here.
Yeah, there'll be
won't come.
street fight shows in Columbus.
They're coming.
Be patient or drive. All right, let's see who the next caller is.
They're
Thanks for
coming,
calling Street
baby.
Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Skeleton.
A skeleton.
No.
Oh
Jesus
no, the
Christ.
flesh and muscle
Is
has
it-
been...
Yes!
Okay.
Oh shit. Okay.
It's
Hi,
you.
Ash.
Who's
Oh, we
this?
thought you were dead. Thank goodness.
Sorry, I'm doing this thing with my friends, Walktober, where we just step a bunch and
What you get? What kind of numbers you
Yeah.
getting?
What a bunch?
Step. What kind of numbers you getting?
step. So the first day I got 13K. The second day, so like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I got about 22,000 each day.
Okay. That
Right
I
now.
got. Can I tell you what I got today?
Oh hell yeah!
I am at 22,488. My 7-day average is. Are you ready for my 7-day average, everybody?
No.
32,254.
God damn!
I walked 58,421 steps last Monday.
Totally normal.
You beat me.
Yeah.
I can't.
I work.
But yeah, if you
go
work
ahead.
a real job, you're never going to be able to hit my steps. I can do my work walking,
I'm
and
tired.
Yeah, you're tethered, and also like normal people. First of all, it costs money to walk that much. I don't know if y'all know this, but I have had the biggest shoe issues in the history of the world. But I'm glad you're doing Walktober. Walking is the best. You live in a warm place or a cold place?
Yeah. No, I live north of Seattle, and it's like not super warm. I literally am just standing in front of my computer, stepping.
Oh, really?
You have to move your arm to record it. Yeah, but I mean, it's warm and inside my house.
Do you have the gear? Do you have the gear to be outside?
I kind of do, but you know.
I gotta say, I today was rainy and overcast. It was like the shitty day of fall, and I went out and did my run, and I just listened to like Eminem and like the most obvious hype up music, and it feels like you're battling the elements and like you've taken control of everything, and you feel like you're in like a shoe commercial. You're like fighting against everything. Right. The rain is pouring down on your face, and you're like, I don't give a fuck. I have something to do that's more important than like what this world is doing. Like I have to get my steps in. I have to do a run today. I'm gonna do it in the face of a thunderstorm.
Yeah, I was snooping around this other property of this landlord that we know we're gonna go after at some point. But yeah, it started raining earlier today. But that just made it feel more like spy shit.
Yep.
You also just gotta walk. I mean, I don't know if you're doing this with Walktober. I'm doing Shocktober, actually.
Yeah, he's not doing.
All of my Tobers are Walktobers.
Yeah.
Oh, did you like it? I mean, I'm like really into like hearing people's opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I never listened to like Opie and Anthony at all, but I listened to that episode, and it was very interesting. Like,
yeah. How do you feel about there being a major corporation that had a beer sponsor, Sam Adams, sponsor a contest where two people have sex inside of public buildings?
That was certainly some wild shit. Goddamn.
It went through levels of management and things like that, and happened anyway. So what's going on tonight?
I'm just walking. I work at a newspaper call center. So, you know, I get paid minimum wage to basically...
Get yelled at a lot?
Yeah, lots of that.
It's got to be old people too, right? It's got to be the meaner type.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to be ageist on here, but only old people read the newspaper.
Yeah.
It's certainly largely old people. We do have some young people, but yeah, no, it's legit.
Young
largely old people, but they have good senses of humor. They'll call and be like, I'm just going to renew for 3 months because I don't know if I'll be alive.
Oh my God.
I'll do that joke.
They're like, I'm 97. I'm like,
I'm doing that joke now, and I'm 33.
Yeah, you're going to have to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, but classic part-time minimum wage.
Have you had any memorable calls? Like my John Michael Montgomery call?
There's this family. Oh God. She's the worst woman. And her husband too. They are the type of like callers who you can hear the guy in the background shouting.
Oh no.
Trying to get into the conversation, but not like, I don't know, participating. It's super annoying. But she literally said earlier in the call, okay, granted, they've been missed 4 times over a year, right? So that's 365 days, 4 days you missed. That's still an A in my book. And basically she was like, my son delivered newspapers, and he would never miss anyone. He would get back in his car and go and, you know, fucking bring that paper there. They said that we should bring them their paper. Us in the car. I don't have a car, ma'am. You know, and what she ended up saying at the end of the call was, I have a master's degree. I don't have time to be on the phone all the time talking to people about menial carriers. I'm like, well, you kind of insulted your son, who you said had been one. And then at the end of the call, because I'm a sassy person, I was like, okay, well, have a great day. And she's like, you don't have one.
Oh, I like that though. I do like. I don't
Yeah,
want you
she
to
got
have
you.
a bad
Right.
day, but that's tight to be like. I'm not even going to grant you the
No,
good
sorry.
day.
Petty.
I should be giving you a good
I
day.
certainly
Right.
couldn't agree with that, Steve.
I hope your day is ruined. I have a master's degree.
Yeah.
Well, it's like.
I'm like,
Hang on, let me call you on my cell phone. I'm gonna jump in my car right now. I hope you don't mind listening to my podcast. I'm gonna drive over to your house so we can take care of this.
I will say, I just because you look.
I got one for you. I'm gonna bring one right to you.
Maybe people don't remember this, but I did tech support for a while, and a guy called in and claimed to be kin to John Michael Montgomery and wanted special treatment.
All right.
Because his internet was out, and I had to like fucking be like, well, you know, it's not a big deal that you're related to John Michael Montgomery.
I thought you were going to say that John Michael Montgomery called you.
No,
but I was very excited.
Kin,
Sure.
somebody that's actually kin to him.
Sure, there's buttons for the president and other local elected officials, but nothing for John Michael Montgomery.
Yeah, we looked.
a hilarious power move that subscribers try to pull all the time is they're like, I'm going to call the Better Business Bureau.
Oh yeah, I love that shit.
For
That's
like
my
breaking
shit.
contracts for having human beings do delivery who sometimes miss you, I guess. People are horrible to carriers too. Like, they literally have to get up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
and then deliver for like 5 different companies up here, for like the Seattle Times and all of the other ones. And they expect them to go to every single person's porch, which like some people have this job because they can't use their legs that well, but they can still drive. You know, like there's all sorts of reasons.
What do you think? Like, I'm sorry. Oh, fuck! I just completely lost my train of thought there. Has the newspaper you work for? Because in Columbus, the newspaper has largely quit hiring kids.
Yeah.
They're only hiring adults, which is pretty dystopian.
Yeah. Still same like working conditions though.
I think there's one paper left with youth carriers, and it's only across the main street of town. Or there's 2. You have to be like at least 12, and obviously you don't get minimum wage to get like the youth wage.
Okay, but because the thing is, like, when I was a kid, kids delivered the paper. You could start delivering at 13.
Yeah.
And we used to roll up all my friends got a paper route for some reason. I don't know if they did like a hiring process or anything like that, because you wouldn't have hired any of my friends. Nobody should have hired us. We would roll the newspaper up really tight so it was hard, and throw it as hard as we could at the screen door and run every day.
Oh my God, I get calls about that all the time. Tell the carrier to stop waking me up in the middle of the night. Or I've had people have to cancel because their neighbors cannot handle headlights like showing up that early, and they will like not leave them alone.
That's fucking nuts.
It's a lot.
I mean, it is weird. I'm glad you have a job, right? I'm not saying, and I think you should be able to have money and live, but it's crazy that we're still delivering the paper to people's houses.
Yeah.
To me, I
mean, a lot of these old people, though, like, they don't have cars, they don't have TVs, or if they do, they don't understand that there's a channel with a TV guide, so if they don't get their Sunday paper, they're completely lost.
Yeah.
And
you're probably
they'll
right.
say, like, this is my one connection to the world, because I don't, get
That's
to go.
true.
It's pretty sad.
There was
And the paper does have, like, senior sections where they try and get people hanging out outside of their homes.
Yeah.
They give people so much less now, though. You know what? The newspapers are like the Columbus Dispatch turned into like a pamphlet.
Yeah, they literally cut down the size of it, so it's like a magazine.
Ads. We have literally 30 total publications that are, or maybe there's like 7 of them. Well, shit, I don't know. There's like probably 15 that are free publications that you have to opt out of. So it's basically, as the callers love to tell me, litter.
It is a little bit.
Permits for.
That's true.
To buff the circulation numbers for the advertisers, but it's a shit deal for everyone because the carriers get a bunch of shit. Like, we had one person threatened with a gun by some drunk man the other day who, when he called in, said that she flipped him off and he couldn't have done anything bad. But then he got all racist, and I got to say, I'm going to hang up on you. I don't want to hear this racist rant, which I appreciate that I literally had to be told to hang up on people more.
Yeah.
Because I was, like, not you know.
You're putting up with
There's
it
a lot of
too
places
much.
I feel.
I never hung up on
Yeah.
anybody really because I think it's weird. I think I can get where you're coming from, where you were like, were you thinking like, oh, it's a sign of weakness if I hang up. I'm not going to hang up. Because
Well,
I was
thought I
like
would
that.
get in trouble.
Yeah, that's true too. Like a lot of times you could never.
Because I just assume.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
talk
'cause
about.
my dad works for companies where they get like rated after every call.
Yeah.
So, and they're literally not allowed to hang up until they've like noted the account.
Yeah.
But you can't tell the customer that you're doing that and some shit. It's ridiculous.
I've talked
So,
to
like,
people about
yeah.
like not being able to. You were never able to get out of a job at the cable company ever. There was nothing you could do. Like if
To
you
get
walked
them
into
to-
a
yeah.
job and the guy started yelling slurs at you, they would get mad at you if you left the job. Like, it was just.
ridiculous.
Yeah, they really never let you go. So you're totally right. You know, there were times where I had really
Yeah.
contentious exchanges with people at the cable company, and just said like, I'm just gonna fucking leave. And then I would leave, and then they'd call me and say, you got to go back, and I'd have to go back in that house with those people that we were fighting, you know,
That's
earlier.
horrible.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah.
Like that's truly one of the best things about this job. Like despite all this stupid shit that they're never going to pay us more than minimum wage or give us health care or any of that, at least we are welcome to be pretty rude when necessary. Like someone was getting very sweary at me and like not making any sense and just being a rude, entitled human being, as one could be. And I've got to say, if you can't be a civil person right now, then I'm gonna hang up. Bye-bye.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times the worst thing about the call center is that your managers won't like if they want to talk to a manager, the manager will be like, well, you got to figure out, you got to figure it out yourself, and the manager won't take the call. And that's the thing that always drove me nuts. That happened a lot at McDonald's too, where they would say, I want to talk to a manager. Manager would be like, I'm not going out there. And you're like, okay, well, who is the manager? Who should I say is the manager then? Because they're not going to fucking talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm 16.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a dumb manager.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good night, yo.
You too. What I remember from from delivering the papers was at a very young age. It was wild because I would be like going down the block to collect money, and I would see people pull into their house and then pretend not to be home when I went to collect the money, like dodging a $18 bill or dodging like an $11.29 bill.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is not good. Like these people are like supposed to be living the life over here. Why are they fucking hiding from me?
No, my
'Cause I'm
parents
collecting for the
absolutely did
paper.
that.
Because like I don't have it right now. It's like, you don't have $12 right now. It's like, I don't have $12 right now. It's like, but you have like all of this going on right now. How do you not have $12 right now? I mean, not to hold it against them. It was just at an early age. It was fucking confusing to me. It was like, I'm making $7 an hour at my job. I could work 2 hours and pay for the fucking paper for the whole month.
Yeah.
But then it was like I settled in where it was like, fuck, this is like desperate fucking people that don't have any goddamn money.
Yeah.
They're like living just like, not today, no way.
Yeah.
One of Brian, it's like Brian signing up for the paper and then being like, oh God,
Every time.
we gotta hide from the fucking paper guy.
Every time I
Like,
I've
if you
done
didn't have
it.
social media, you'd be hiding from the paper guy.
Yeah.
If you were born 20 years earlier, you'd just be hiding from the paper guy once a
That's
month.
exactly. Well, I did back in the 90s. In the early 90s, I'd always be like, we should start getting a paper. I think it's important that we go ahead and we start getting the paper. And I'm going to be more like educated and stuff. Now I'm thinking about getting a paper though. Lately, I've been thinking about it because I want to read letters to the editor. Like I think I've come to the point now where I want to get out of the comments and into the letters to the editor because I like the idea of the person writing something to the newspaper.
Yeah.
You know, like that is, I mean, even because like people comment on news stories on Facebook out of convenience.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you know, they just told me Santa Claus is a woman now. I'm really mad about that.
Yeah, unlike a story that
has
has nothing to do with that.
Yeah. So I'm going to yell at them because it just popped in front of my face.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, it's like, getting so mad at the newspaper that you have to write an article to them and be like, you need to fucking publish this crazy thing that I just thought. I think I need to read it.
I got time. My house is together. All my dishes are washed. All my laundry is done. I'm about to fire off my little bit of thought about what I think these people that are riding their dirt bikes up and down the road, kicking rocks in everybody's car. I feel like I got to let them know.
Yeah, they can't be doing wheelies and stuff in the street.
All right. So I think we are packed to the back as far as the queue goes. So one more, then we hit the door. It's going to be break time. You said 718?
Yeah.
Let's do this. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who we talking to tonight? What's up?
Hello?
Please don't be a skeleton warrior from hell that's going to take our
This
souls.
is not a skeleton because I can hear us in the background.
This shit sounds skelly. It sounds spooky. It sounds like it's about to be like a Bone Thug song.
Hearing your own voice is like...
Born in hell.
This is a mess.
What's going down?
Hello!
Hey!
Hey,
gang.
It's
Kate.
It's Kate. Ketamine.
Otherwise known as Ketamine.
Ketamine. I love it.
Kate called in a few weeks ago. She is getting... It's Garbage Kate on Twitter, by the way. Also has a Succession podcast that she will plug here in a second. But Kate is also getting ketamine treatments at a place for depression and anxiety and stuff like that. And you're done, right? You've done your last one?
Yeah, so like the initial thing is like 6 infusions. I have like a tentative one scheduled this week. If it's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, I may or may not do that. And then later on, you may have maintenance treatments, but they're cheaper, and it's like every 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
It's kind of, yeah.
We talked about.
Now I did the 6 infusions, and I survived. I'm here to talk about it.
I gotta ask you. This is gonna sound very stupid because I'm a 40-year-old man, and when I was a youngster, we took acid and we took mushrooms and we smoked weed and we did cocaine and we did opium. Those were the drugs. That was all the drugs that existed in the entire world. And I have never done ketamine. How long does the treatment last? Can I ask you how long the trip and the treatment lasts?
Yeah, so like the infusion itself is 50 minutes, but like when you're on ketamine, you lose all sense of time.
Yeah, that's great. So you're hitting the point of non-existence?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's so different from acid and mushrooms and stuff too, because every time is different. Like you can kind of know what to expect, like your mind, what's going to happen when you like take shrooms or whatever. I mean, it may differ based on your mindset, but like every ketamine trip is totally different.
Yeah, I was thinking about you, and I knew you were calling in and everything, and you know I do some sort of similar treatments on my own. It's all self-prescribed because I don't have the time to do it otherwise. But there was something came to me where it's really important to get to the point where like you feel like you've been thrown into space and like you don't exist anymore. And like I think you have to get to the feeling of non-existence, because when you come back, you actually have an understanding that there's two ways to be. There's non-existence or there's right now. And when you realize that the other option is non-existence, right now becomes a lot more manageable, and you can work your way through the things that are happening. And, you know, as a relatively smart, quick person, I can manage to make my way through this existence, because otherwise the other options is eventually non-existent. So, like, I feel like it's a kick in the butt in a way of just saying, like, it's right now. I mean, that's what it is. Like, once you lose feeling of your body, your mind, and let go and just give into all of that, that's what I've come away with. I actually hit a dab last year that made me cry immediately, like, because I thought I had like just given away to everything. And then when I came back, I was like, it's actually everything, every little thing that exists is a fucking miracle. Like all of this, like I'm not trying to get too sappy about it, but you know, the things that came in to process are 1 billion years in the making, and you have to diligently remind yourself that it's this and then it's non-existence, and that we have a very limited time of getting to taste what we're doing right now. And we're in charge here. We're the creative. Life is not happening to us. we're in the driver's seat. Like, we're taking charge of this thing, you know? That's what
Yeah,
that's what I
it's
get from
amazing.
those. That's what I get from ketamine, like K-holes, and deep trips and shit like that. Ego death.
No, you're totally right. And it's all about hitting that dose where you get that disassociation and you're no longer thinking. Like, because on lower doses, it was like trippier and like I was like thinking too much. But like when you're on these higher doses, you're not thinking. You're just, you're on a ketamine train and you're feeling and you're just able to separate yourself and like you said, like just understand that like so much of this is bullshit and you just experience this warmth and this like amazing
And that's what I was
feeling of acceptance.
Yes.
And like letting go of all these bad feelings. And it's really getting to that dose and like being comfortable with it and not and being in the right frame of mind. But like, yeah, lower dose, you got to get the K-hole. You got to get that disassociative part.
And I was talking to my wife about this recently or earlier today about like, you know, we have this idea that like every thought that comes into our brain is valid, but they're not. Like none of them are important. They're all just generated from something else. And once you can get away from the judgment, once you can stop looking and experiencing everything with like trying to know what's going on or being informed about it and just give into the feeling of existing, like you lose all of the other stuff to worry about, and you realize that everybody else, you know, is essentially in the same boat and, you know, feeling the same way too. Like we're all sharing this together, and the more honest you get and the less you get away from, you know, thinking your way through shit, it will like help you in the long run. Like I don't know. I think we think our way into like corners that like some people spend their whole life there. You know, they never back out of it. Like it's growing older. I'm actually looking at like my peers and like feeling really sad that some people are getting themselves in a rut that I don't know whether they'll turn around. Maybe it'll be a late bloomer thing and it'll be a good story, but like it's just hard to see the way that we have a tendency to think that like all of our reactions to the world are all valid, and the negative and the bad ones that make us sad and miserable, you know,
are actually more valid.
Yeah.
Because you know, I had a conversation like last week or 2 or 3 weeks ago with him. I launched my thing. I have 2 projects that I'm, the PODcast and Shocktober, and I had launched those 2 things, and somebody tweeted about it and said like, oh, it's really great that popular podcasters do their side projects with other popular podcasters instead of just an average person. And I was like, but these 2 guys are my friends. You know what I mean? Like, the Shocktober doesn't happen without Felix.
Yeah.
Like, it's half his show.
Right.
You know what I mean? The PODcast doesn't happen without John. It's half his show.
Bro.
We both are doing, like, we're both valuable to the equation. And I
want to shoot you up with ketamine right now.
I was feeling really depressed.
Yeah, it was just in your head, though.
I'm saying I got really depressed about it because for a whole fucking 2 days I thought, I'm a gatekeeper. Like, I'm a fucking gakeeper now.
No.
Like, I'm one of the gatekeepers.
People, man.
Yeah. So, like,
Leaders.
like not knowing what thoughts to let go for me is very hard.
Yeah, that one definitely. I'd love to blast that one out if I could.
But like, the thing is, like, I let that really bug me because, like, I don't want to, like, I have in my mind that I want to be a good person who lifts up everybody that I possibly can to where at least I am, which is not very far. But
you're petty.
I'm petty. Yes, a lot of what I do is revenge for people telling me I couldn't do it. Went to college.
Oh, come on.
No, for real. I went to college because people... Yeah, like, my whole reason for going to college and graduating and having good grades was because I was like, these fucking people don't think some redneck from Groveport, Ohio can graduate from The Ohio State University. You fucking watch me do it, okay? And then the podcast.
Okay, Kanye West.
The podcast is me yelling at my dad, basically, saying, like, you fucking told me I couldn't be a star, or something. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't be important.
Succession.
Yeah. So, I want to ask, though, like, is ketamine, like, does it help you sort out sort of your thoughts and stuff like that, or is it just like, does it change your mindset?
Lights a fire on your ass. Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's a tough question because I think it does both. Like, for one thing, I'm confused because I'm like watching the screen and it looks like you're talking, but I know the timing is different.
Yeah.
But I'm talking, right?
Yeah, it's got to go through the internet.
Okay, I'm not.
Yeah, look away from the computer.
Yeah, through the tube.
It's got to go through the
Okay.
pipes.
Okay. So, yeah. So, like, yeah. So, what's really cool, like what Brett was saying about in terms of like pushing different feelings out and stuff. And I know I talked about the nature videos last time, and we said how lame it was. But like, let me tell you, like watching some of these nature videos, like these beaches and the water flowing and all, like it helped. Like so say you have like this bad intrusive thought and like you see this stretching out landscape because the drone is like going in reverse and stuff, like you let the image push it out for you. Like, I don't know how to explain that exactly, but like you let these images take over your mind and just help you accept everything and relax.
Well,
So,
you
like,
realize
that doesn't
the
affect-
water's going to keep lapping up on the beach no matter what any decisions are made. It's going to react to whatever happens to it, but it's consistent and it's been here and will go until it doesn't have to be. Like the rocks, the sand, all of that is just going to be until it has to change. And it's just like all of us.
Yeah. And what's crazy is like, so the like doctor has been to a lot of these places and stuff, so he'll like kind of describe like, oh, well, yeah, I was there, and your mind is just like, what the fuck, you were there as you're looking at these. But
How?
again, you're not really thinking when you're in this dissociative state. And then, so to explain, so after the fact, like when you're not in the trip, I've had like paranoid thoughts and stuff, Brian, or things where I thought like my, bad ideas kind of come into my head, which I think previously would have like made me really distraught. Like, okay, this person is trying to imply something negative about me or whatever, but I'm just like, okay, that's fine. Or like, I think some, whatever. It has helped after the fact and like kind of just acceptance.
You just
and
have
I'm
to
taking
like,
way less Xanax than
Yeah,
like
well, that's
I
good.
used to.
I mean, that's something.
great. Yeah.
I have like a lot of trouble with like sifting through. What I have most of my trouble with basically is like I will take every single bit of negative input as 100%, right?
Yeah.
And every single bit of good feedback about
it's
things
bullshit or it doesn't
as
mean anything.
bullshit, or the people telling me are unreliable, or
Yeah, I'm the same way.
so like I don't hear
Yeah.
a lot of people don't say very many mean things about me online.
Yeah.
But if that happens,
You
I
see it,
spend
yeah.
the whole rest of the day thinking about, am I a bad person? I'm the bad person. I'm a bad person.
Clearly, yeah.
And I feel that, and like I wish there was something I could do that would, because I think that would clear up a lot of my anxiety, because I always feel bad because I always feel like people don't like me and I'm doing bad things. You know what I mean? And like, so
Yeah.
I
No, I can totally relate. That's
And
a
I'm-
huge part of the depression and anxiety.
yeah, and I just can't figure out like,
you can do like microdosing or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
I told you guys about weed, right? Was like freaking me out, so I stopped doing it for
Yeah.
a while. And then like when I went through insomnia earlier in the week, I just got frustrated and rolled over and smoked a bunch of weed, and I fell right to sleep. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened, but I fell asleep and I felt great the next day and I feel good, and it didn't make me paranoid. And there was
Yeah.
like some weird breakthrough where like I've gone through periods of my life where weed made me very paranoid, so I had to lay off of it. And
Yeah.
then like after a while I rediscover my love for weed and how it makes you feel, and I start smoking weed again. But like I am at a point now that I have been since 2016. Like
the highest levels of anxiety I've ever had in my life, and depression, and like hating myself types of things.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to figure out like how to end it, how to make it stop. And that's one of the reasons I'm very fascinated with Kate's experience, because like it is something that I am considering giving it a shot, because I am like kind of at the end of my rope. Like I don't know what you do to make you stop hating yourself and being nervous all the fucking time. Like maybe that's just the human condition, but it's very hard for me to handle, you know?
It's the human condition in the society, you know, the capitalist, like, crushing our souls society, but, like, it's not a normal human condition. And, just as an aside, like, something that's crazy that, like, I can handle the ketamine so well, but, like, I can't do THC. I literally freak out. Like, I was in the ER, okay? You guys, I'm so embarrassed to say this.
Well, no, don't be. I mean, I don't think it's for everybody.
I took
like
some edibles, and
dude, I called.
Really low dose.
Hey, our fucking producer. I hooked my producer up with that Street Fight Radio, Pow Pow. He was he was so embarrassed, but the whole night his thumb was hovering over 911. He was just thinking about it. He knew he shouldn't do it, but he was like, just wanted somebody to come there and just take care of the situation.
My sister one time ate a firecracker back when I used to make those, and she came up and knocked on my bedroom door at 2 a.m. And I tried to talk her down. She's like, I think she did what I do. This is how I get paranoid with weed, right? I say, nobody's ever died from weed, but plenty of people have died from a heart attack or a stroke, and that's probably what's happening.
This is an event. It's an elevated event.
And she goes, my sister is like, I think I'm dying. I think my heart, I can hear my heart. And I keep telling her.
Like, well, get out of here then.
I keep telling her to go to sleep. I keep saying, like, just go to sleep. It's not, you're fine. It's just weed. Everything's fine. 2 hours we talked. And finally I said, look, if you want me to call an ambulance, I'll call a fucking ambulance. I had the fire department at my house at fucking 4 a.m. talking to my sister and telling her that she's fine and she's healthy. And then
well, if
she's
a fireman
just high.
says it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to tell people
crazy?
Like this is the solution, but like
I didn't realize I was on weed. That was the whole fucked up part. Like,
yeah,
I
that's
was
shitty.
so fucked up that I didn't know it was the weed. And I kept saying, I was with my mom, and I kept saying, I'm dying, I'm dying.
No.
Climate
Oh, no.
change, I'm dying.
Oh, no.
I was, like, stripping, okay?
Oh, God.
I mean, I was, like, so fucking far gone. It
Not
was
good.
So absurd and, like, so awful.
It does
And I
wild
haven't
things.
touched it since.
There's people that have tried to do interviews with us and stuff, and they've been like, will weed solve all the problems? And I'm like, no. It's like just for me. It's my thing. I don't recommend anybody else. I'm not a role model. I'm Charles Barkley on this shit. I'm not anything to follow. But like a lot of us do get it. Just don't make it illegal. Like that's the problem is like I want to be able to turn right on red and not have to worry about getting a drug charge because there's weed in my car. And I've driven high for the last 15 fucking years. So like I've been fine. And like I don't want to go to jail or have to pay money for it, you know?
Yeah.
But I also want to run. I want to go over the speed limit and I want to turn right on red. It's bullshit. I should be able to run through fucking stop signs. It's not because I'm high. It's because I'm just a reckless behavior. Don't relate it to the weed.
So
Come out west.
We are.
I want.
Right on
Yeah.
red and weed is legal.
We're on our way. We're coming out there in November.
I know.
My kid got like a genetic bong hit when
guys.
she was born. She's like the most chill kid that we have around. Like somehow she's just always cool with everything and is just like, is there gonna be prizes or cupcakes? I'm like, there always is. You're young.
How do you
prizes and cupcakes for kids?
So what do you think? What do you think about the ketamine treatments? Like how? What was your what's your takeaway from this? Is there like is it? I'm trying to figure out a way to ask.
Do you feel like you're cleaning out the dust? Like permanent change, or do you need? Or you have to go back, or do you think this is like what did you learn from the experience?
So, I mean, what I've learned is, well, I've learned a lot about like what ketamine does, like chemically, and I've learned a lot about like the best protocols in my mind in terms of like doing an infusion instead of they do sometimes shots, but those are uncontrollable, et cetera. So I've learned a lot in like stupid detail regards, but I mean, I think it's life-saving, frankly. You know, it's really definitely, so like you self-report on an inventory, a depression scale and a anxiety scale. And after my 4th infusion, when I originally went in there, my depression was at 20. And then after my 4th infusion, it was at 6. So like, that's gigantic.
Yeah.
Like I would spend days in bed. I'm not doing that. I like haven't used Kratom or even like wanted to. You know, I feel better. And what's really great is the anxiety piece, because that didn't happen right away. The depression was lifted and I was sleeping less and getting up, but the anxiety took a little bit longer. But once, I mean, it started like helping my nerves, and basically like the last time I talked to you guys, I was so anxious afterwards about my performance, and I guarantee you when we hang up, I'm going to be totally fine.
That's
because I'm just.
Well, you know what? I gotta say, like, looking at boomers and looking at my friends' parents and acquaintances, a lot of them are coming down with terminal illnesses and shit, and like turning their lives around and turning from assholes into like completely sweet people, and like living the last decade of their life like this completely amazing person that's a big part of their community and stuff. And for me, like, psychedelics, from what I've understood from the beginning, is like literally fucking killing your feeling of existence will like jumpstarts the engine to be like, I have to take grasp of today. Like going through that, it's like a memento mori exercise where you do understand that it's like, oh man, it's really like it's a hassle. Life is a hassle. Like when you look out from your eyes and look at everything, it seems like a big fucking hassle, but it's only because you know what to expect from everything, and you are comfortable, and you have been making it work, and you can take charge and just do things that you want to do, and be the person that that isn't always obsessed with the thoughts that are inside of their mind. Like you just have to get rid of it. I ran through a time in my life where I was just like, doesn't matter whether I exist or not, everything goes away, and I'm really sad about that. But then it was a matter of like, I'm really missing out on some really radical, amazing stuff. Like I'm like Brian said, I'm paying attention to these thoughts that deny me the chance to say like, having a stupid fucking item sent through the mail in my house is like a miracle from the fucking God. It is like out of nowhere. It's, unexplainable. And, regardless of what you think things are, having the chance to go through this is really fucking incredible. Like it is something to be grateful for. It's not something to like give up on. And you really do have a chance to find something that makes sense and that is really joyful and fun. It's not all misery and oppression and fucking awful bullshit. It's not that. Like you can definitely convince yourself that. But when you understand it's either this or like not existing, it's like, oh shit, well, I'll go see a movie. I guess I will go to that rehab tavern happy hour. I guess I'm going to sign up for a ceramics class. I'll go to that protest. I'll sign up for classes. I can make this job work because I can work for something else that I want to happen.
Well, and there's I mean, there is something about like having like, I do have people around me that remind me of good things, and like I think like my wife, I feel so shitty about this, but she's like, what?
Sorry, go ahead. When you're like planning, I'm just saying, when you're like planning your funeral, like when you're like dead, and then you wake up and you're like, that was a beautiful funeral, I don't even mind. Everybody wore a great dress. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, I think my wife is even like trying to be soft with me now, like kid gloves sort of thing for the past few days, and I'm like, don't worry about it. Like, I have been like this my whole life. It's like exacerbated right now because of the medicines and all of that stuff. But like, I'm gonna try. I think I'm gonna look into trying this, because I think I need some. There's something I need that's bigger than just Zoloft. I think I need something.
Therapy. You need therapy. You need to go talk to somebody once a week.
I can't get in anywhere.
You need to. But like me and my wife, like I'm sorry, just real quick, Zap, but like we have been like talking about just forgiving ourselves for how things are, because like we could point out that this doesn't look like the perfect household that like parents used to require of people, or we could just be happy that we have this really awesome place and we're not wanting for food or water, clean water or anything. Like we're having the best life ever, and we have to stop being hard on ourselves if we're not the perfect version, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you stop like measuring yourself against others, I mean that happened to me a few years ago, because I'm also about your age, you know, and like, I mean, I'm not in the best place, you know, I'm live with my parents at the time, you know, I'm not in the best place, and you know, it's easy to like be really hard on yourself about that, but I've been able to just kind of accept like where I am and who I am, and not. Like, I don't use Facebook, for example. I think that's a big help, but...
I mean, unless someone is saying it to you, there's no reason to think all of that stuff. I mean, if someone is telling you that they think you're the worst person that's ever existed, I mean, you do have to, like, say, geez, somebody dress me down. But if you're spending all of your time just, like, thinking about how you're the worst person in the world, it's like, there's not warranted. Yeah. There's no one here to back that up. No one would co-sign those statements.
No, but it's really wild. I mean, like...
But they consume you. I mean, they're valid. They're valid.
Yeah.
You can, like, I'm a horrible person. I absolutely, like, I want to be self-aware, and I accept that I'm awful in a billion ways that people complain about how awful I am. But I can't do that for the sake of, like, ignoring also the things the reason they put up with all that shit. You know, like it's both at the same time. It's a quantum thing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Right. Yeah. No one is like a wholly good person all the time.
There's never been one.
And you have to be gentle on yourself. But Brian, I do think you should definitely do these treatments. And I do want to mention that how cost prohibitive they are, because I didn't mention that before, and it's really fucked up, and it's not covered by insurance. And
well, if it's just a guy that gets you on a trip and then tells you all the cool places he's been, I could do that for Brian.
Just like videotaping someplace in Columbus, but like zooming out slowly.
But Brian, man, I was on this fucking patio in Austin, just like peeking, dude. The succulents were fucking brilliant.
You can definitely like do.
Yeah, is this a doctor, man? Because I want to. This is what I want to do, but like I'm not going to go to fucking school for it, because I went to the school of hard knocks for this shit.
The guy is a doctor.
Yeah, you have to be a medical doctor.
That's all bullshit, man. They don't know nothing about nothing.
They could, like, a doctor could, like, administer the medicine and then leave and let other people come, like, hipper people come in and talk to
the bunch of bohemians come in the room smoking cigarettes on Quellazares.
Like a doula for your ketamine trip.
The cool thing is, I found out now, last time I was telling you we have to watch this stuff, but, like, I was like, you know what would be really great is if I could listen to my own music. And he was like, oh, once you find your dose, you can.
Okay.
He just doesn't want, like, because he wants you to find the right dose that works for you, because he keeps pushing you up until it's too much.
What's his goal?
But, like, well, the thing is the more dissociative and the higher dose you have, the better therapeutic effect it is.
For sure, but I'm saying, like, what's he gunning for? He's just trying to get you to the max? Is he trying to peak you and then...
He's trying to get you to your personal feeling.
Okay.
Which we finally reached this last time. Like, I went from 0.80, which most places do 0.5, and I went from 0.80 to 0.85, and it wasn't bad, but at one point, like, I felt like the TV and I were, like, vibrating together, and, like, it was just,
technically, like, you were
kind of intense.
I mean,
yeah, and so he was...
physically, you were,
I mean, like,
if you do the math, it's all vibration.
So, I mean, you were starting with, like, a pretty low... like, you were starting with a low dose and just, like, building up really gradually. Like, how frequently were you taking them?
Okay, so, like, it's 6 infusions, and the first one was 0.55, which is a little higher than the standard. It's 0.55, micrograms per kilogram. Or milligrams per kilogram. And then, so it's based on your weight. And then, so we went from 0.55 to 0.7. No, we went from 0.55 to 0.75. And I actually had a really bad experience on my second one. It was the only time I had a bad experience. I went in like really anxious and with a bad frame of mind. This was actually the night before. This was the day after I called in initially, that next day. I think I was still reeling from that and kind of watching Succession and trying to like organize notes for the podcast. And so I was just really anxious. And I started like having bad experience. So we stopped it and then he restarted it. So then we went back to 0.70 the third time, which was okay. It was pretty good. And then the fourth time was amazing at 0.75 again. But I was in a better mindset, and the ketamine had started to affect my anxiety and reduce it. So it was like, way more manageable. And it was like so pleasurable. That was the first time that it was like great. And then the best time was the fifth infusion, which we did 0.80, and it was like, whoa, I felt like I experienced the universe.
Rainbow Road on Mario Kart 64.
Totally. And then 0.85 was the final dose that we did this Friday, and it was fine. Like I said, it's just, I guess at one point, he thought it was just a little too intense for me because I felt the TV was like moving my body, and it wasn't bad at all. Like I don't have bad memories of it because again, you're not. The cool thing is at the lower doses and when I was anxious, I was talking the whole time.
Yeah.
And like having thoughts through my mind. But
right.
at these higher doses, and once I wasn't anxious, no thoughts. You're just like watching a movie.
Catatonic.
Almost. But it's yeah.
Stuck in a K-hole again. Yeah.
How is the and like the doctor is there and he's not he's not intrusive and it's kind of like you feel okay being in the room with the doctor like that. Oh
yeah, you're in this recliner. You can recline I'm like basically laying flat. You can bring your own blanket, and so I always bring my own blanket. And you just like when you're not wanting to talk, he's quiet and he'll just ask like every once in a while, how's the ketamine doing, or whatever.
I can do that.
So about the ketamine.
You have a blood pressure thing, and that goes off like every 10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
This is why I want to do it. I want to do it because like I need. Yeah. I don't think this is something I should like fucking do on my own, and it would be nice. It's like almost like having a doctor next to you is like having a security blanket. It's like I would be able to sit down and be like, this is not going to kill me. There is a guy sitting next to me making sure I stay alive.
Like the person that you'd like to call that the cops come instead of.
Yeah. Oh, they can shut it down?
Like I said, so he stopped it 2 times, when it was a little, like the 6th time and the 2nd time, for like 5 minutes, and I totally sobered up, and then he restarts it. And so you still get the full dose. Like I still got the full 0.85, but it wasn't as intense.
How do I get? I took a hit of acid and I took an X-Acto knife into it and I cut it up to like a bunch of little pieces, and like I woke up at like 9 a.m. and took like an eighth of a hit of acid and just worked all day and was like really pleasurable and had like the best time ever. And by the time I came down, I just went and picked my kid up from school and I was like, man, I don't want to get addicted to that, but that was the best fucking work day of my life.
Yeah. Well, Kate,
tech companies do that.
Yeah.
Tech companies give their
I like tech. I'm big into tech, actually. I really enjoy tech.
Me, I'm just a technology
guy. If I have to wear a black turtleneck on the front of a magazine and say that I took an eighth of a hit of acid, I will do it.
Yeah, they have them in town now. I think I'm gonna try to come up with the cash to do this. They have them in town now.
Everybody,
give this a shot.
It's a good idea.
I'm gonna look into I'm gonna help you find the right clinic though, based on like what I know.
Okay, and this is
like the best practices. You don't want to be on a video camera, and a lot of these places just set you in, and you're on a video camera.
That would be crazy to me. I don't need that. They filming me and then use it when I try to run for president.
That's right.
Kate, tell them where to find your podcast and.
Yeah. So this was a long chat. I apologize, and guests, I apologize for, overshadowing or whatever the fuck. But
you didn't do any of that, Kate.
So I watch Succession a lot, and I love it. And I have a podcast with some great friends, Brendan and Gabby, and it's called the Roycast, or it's called Roycast, not the Roycast. And you can find it at @_ the Fly Guys on Twitter, and Roycast on all the various pod apps. And it's a lot of fun. I said this last time, but ketamine actually plays a critical role in the storyline. So, you know, there's some fun crossover there. And it's about family trauma. It seems like it's about a bunch of rich people, but really it's about, like, the trauma these kids went through and how they cope or don't cope with it as adults. And I, like, relate to it a lot. And there's some addiction stuff. And so, yeah. Check it out. Check the show out. Check the podcast out. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you for coming on and doing this. Thank you for giving us the exclusive, Kate.
Yeah, I got a song. Check out the song "Kids of the K-Hole" by NoFX, because the first time I was in one, I just thought of that song afterwards. Like, that was so fucking right. Like, did that fucking song. And thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Peace.
All right,
we gotta take a break, and it's gonna be speed round because we got a full fucking queue here.
Yeah, we're gonna hit a break. This is Full Unemployment by the Window Smashing Job Creators, which we played, I think, last week, but we're just gonna play it again.
Did we play them during the show?
Yeah,
we played them. I thought we played them at the end of the show.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Well, we can play it though. It doesn't hurt. Window Smashing Job Creators. We'll start them on like song number 6. There. We'll do that.
It's fine. People love that.
wheels of my mind are in the process of turning, and the oceans of time and space are perpetually burning, and my mind is a ghost that is consuming its host. It's waiting for the heart of the city to stop burning, and the pain won't go away. No matter what I say, it will be here tomorrow, but it will be different than yesterday. And no matter what you do, time and space will kill you, because being is becoming, nothing ever stays the same. One, two, 3, 4. And wake up on the dead shores of tomorrow. Let's go! We'll gather up our solar cells, walk the dust off of our bookshelves, and get this hell, there's nothing left to borrow. I got that George Soros money, and I'm still waiting on that check. Got that George Soros money to pay for my broken neck. Got that George Soros money, it's the only money for me. All of this George Soros money bought me all this LSD.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Street Fight Call-In Show. It's the ABCD, Anyone But Cis Dudes edition of the Call-In Show. We are completely full right now. We're going to have to go to a speed round because there's a lot of folks in there, but we want to definitely hear your calls. Thanks for being here as always. If you want to see us live, we're going to be in Texas in next week, Austin, Oklahoma City, Dallas, and Houston. You can find that by going to streetfightradio.com or just store.streetfightradio.com. We are also going to be doing a tour in November, so we don't give people a lot of time, and I know you have to schedule days off and stuff, and it's really unfair for those of you in the service industry. I'm going to get it all tied up tomorrow on Monday. It's my last day of work before I go see Joanna Newsom in Chicago and then go to ACL. But we're going to be on the West Coast. We're going to do a special edition of Undercover Boss on November 9th in Seattle, Washington at the Beacon Theater. We're going to do a live show in Seattle, Washington on November 10th at the Clockout Lounge. We're going to do a show in Portland, Oregon on November 11th. a show in Oakland, California on November 13th, Los Angeles November 15th, and San Diego, California November 18th. The Minion Death Cult podcast, both Alexander and Tony are coming with us for the entire ride. We have special guests planned for each one. It's going to be an incredible tour, so mark those days off on your calendar. Tour stuff is coming soon. Head over to Patreon. Sign up for the free. That's where I send all the newsletter stuff. So even if you can't sign up for it, I do the High Five Friday. All the newsletter, announcement of tours, links happens through Patreon. So head to patreon.com/streetfightradio. Once again today in the studio we have with us from the Columbus DSA, Kristen and Alec. Thanks for being here again. Let's do this. You ready for the speed round?
Hell yeah.
We got a lot to get into. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Oh, hey, is it me?
It is.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, hey, it's Kelly from Detroit.
Hey, Kelly, how are you? Or Shelly. Did I
Good.
get the wrong name?
I think it's Kelly.
Kelly, okay.
No, I know
We've decided
Kelly.
that you're Kelly.
You came out to our show. Thank you.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to talk about because I was about to throw so long, and I kind of fell asleep in my bed. I mean, not because you guys were boring or anything, just because I was so tired. But
We're like your middle school boyfriend. Like you just fall asleep on the phone with them.
Yeah. So, oh shit, what was I going to say?
I do this all the time too, so I understand where you're coming from.
No, I guess one of the things I want to say is that, even though I've never listened to, Shock Jocks, the Shocktober thing is really good.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I loved listening to it at work. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Wait till you, I think the Opie and Anthony episode was good. I felt real good about it when it was over. But Tom Likas with Brett is going to come out tomorrow. It's me, Brett, and Felix talking about Tom Likas, who is a MGTOW guy.
I know who he is. Yeah.
Oh, you know Likas, huh? You are in Detroit. He did weirdly have he had a period where he was on in Detroit. So a lot of women's dads have told me that a lot of women have contacted me and said their dad listened to Tom Likas, and I'm like, oh, jeez.
I was one of them.
You did? Yeah. I've heard. It's crazy. A lot of people have gotten a hold of me and said they're my dad was really into Likas, which is, it's a weird thing because Likas is maybe the most corrosive evil of all of the guys because he's mean. Mm-hmm. And he hates women, and it's a really wild thing that the people that listen to him are very inspired by him. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine being married to a person who is inspired by Tom Likas.
Yeah, that's grim.
Yeah. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. I think people who are young and women especially, women are really liking this show, and I think one of the reasons for that is that these shows were really tough probably to listen to if you're a woman. I can pretty much guarantee that. And secondly, a lot of young people I don't think knew how big this stuff was.
Yeah, and don't get it. It's like an alien thing.
Yeah, this stuff was very big at the time. And every man of a certain age was probably listening to some kind of radio that was bad.
Oh, yeah. No. I was going to say, I don't think it was really, for women, really.
No.
So I personally don't know anybody who listened to it. I mean, I know guys who did, but not women were oh, I love how it's doing.
What we found with Tom Likas, though, is that he had a very old school patriarchal way of thinking. He had the trad life down way early. So there were a lot of women callers that called in, and he would just be it's a man. Why? Of course he cheats on you. If you don't like a cheating man, look for another one. He would treat them like idiots, and was just so demeaning. But there was one moment that I listened to where he told this woman that was my boyfriend is punching holes in the wall. and everything. And he's like, well, eventually he's gonna kill you. Like, this guy's getting violent right now. He's just gonna keep upping it. And she's like, I don't know, I love him. And he's just telling her, like, you're a dumb woman and you're like caught up with this bad boy and you think you want to get dangerous, but he's gonna kill you. And I'm like, I mean, he's right. You know, like, I wouldn't be that mean to this woman. It's such a, but like, like, that wouldn't be the way I would go about it. But like, the caller is like, you're right, Daddy. You're right, Papa. Like, that's what they say. It's such a, and
I know. I remember that. Like, gross.
And
it's odd. It's odd to call a guy. It's odd that everybody, like, a lot of the people that were the biggest fans called, and when he would be like, hey, you're on Tom Likas, and they'll be like, hi, Papa.
Yeah.
Like, they call him Papa and Daddy.
And I, you know, like, I think, like, for me, it's a disgusting, like, I have the same reaction that Kristen has, where it's disgusting. I don't even want to care to look into this. But I think it is also super informative, because I do remember when you didn't have, like, a smartphone and you couldn't just access things that weren't that. Like, that was what was being
the dominant
broadcasting.
culture.
Like, you went to the bank and someone turned on talk radio, it would be some sort of dude that was being homophobic and misogynistic to get people mad and keep listening to the show.
My wife actually told me when we were, like, driving home, we were kind of talking about it from Cleveland, and she kind of told me, like, you know, I didn't listen to any talk radio for like a period of time, and like, I've only just now realized that it's something that's valid and is a skill, because now there are things that are made that have women in mind as a listener. And she's like telling me, like, I listened to a show about baking cakes and true crime.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's just not even something that would have been on the radio back then, because the radio
there
really
are so
was.
many fucking true crime
There was only one.
Ladies eat them up.
The only show I can think of that was for women, there were two shows I can think of that were specifically for women, but that one of them was for conservative women, and that's Dr. Laura. She did gear her show towards women, and then Delilah, which is like, a woman that listens to Street Fight is not going to like Delilah. You know what I mean? And it was kind of like really light, and she was just playing songs and reading like dedications to people. And it's like, there was, before the internet and before podcasts took off, the radio was just a place for guys. It was not, there weren't radio stations for women. Nothing was geared towards women. They were all
and certainly not working class, like regular ass women.
Nope, and they were all geared toward men 18 to like 49. And it was like, that was the only thing that existed back then. So like, my wife listened to Stern for a period of time, but like, that was just because it was on.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything else to listen to, and now she's like into podcasts and like, I think that like talk radio was a thing that actively discouraged women and anybody that's not a white 18 to 49-year-old male from listening. They just didn't even care about having you in the audience.
Yeah.
You know? It's also weird, too, to think about, like, how a lot of these things were on hard rock radio stations.
Yeah.
And it's like, there are a lot of women that like hard rock. Like, acting like hard rock is just a men's thing is, like, really weird to me, because there are a lot of women who are super into, like, heavy metal and stuff.
But there's, like, no acknowledgement of that. It's just, like, you're either doing your girly shit and who cares about that, or you're one of the boys.
Well,
so they don't need to cater to you as a woman.
I want to introduce it. I call it dirty old man lady, where you're just like a woman that makes sexist jokes because guys will be guys, and it's fun to be one of them. Like, everybody's looking at my tits, or like, you know, I'll drink a bunch of whiskey, or like, I'm not going to be a girl. I'm not a, like you said, not a girly girl thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, I never sort of thought about like the lens that you view people who do things like listen to hard rock, like women, is always based on what men are doing. That's sort of like, if you're at a concert, like even when I was younger, I would go see Limp Bizkit, and every woman there, even though I was with women, like my sister would go, my girlfriend at the time would go. There were a lot of women there that were there because they wanted to fucking see Limp Bizkit. Yeah. And like, I used to be like, oh, they brought their, oh, look, these guys brought their girlfriends. Like, it was impossible for a girl or a woman to be into Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, to
or
drag their
Deftones or
poor
something.
boyfriend to force him to watch this show with her.
Yeah. And it is like it's so hard to like sort of beat those ideas out of your head.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah, it's like a lifelong
It's
thing.
foundational.
Yeah, even with like comic books and stuff
Yeah.
like that, it's like, or video games. Video games is one of those places where it's like, there's no women that play. Women don't like, they think video games are stupid and they hate it. It's like, well, the women you know might think that.
Yeah.
But like video games are a pretty universal experience that all different sorts of people can enjoy, you know? So I'm glad you're getting something out of the Shocktober though. It makes me happy.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
Oh,
I was gonna say also that like a lot of hobbies are like, if you're like a girl or you're into it, it's like, oh, you can't possibly take that seriously, or like you play video games, you're like a casual gamer, or like you like comic books, or like, you know, tell me your 3 favorite Batman storylines.
I talked to a woman. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but then it's like, then I tell them about the comic books I read, which aren't like, you know, like superhero comics, or like indie comics, and they're like, whoa, what's that? I'm like, oh, you haven't heard of the Hernandez brothers? Well, you sir need a lesson.
I actually,
no, that kind of shit.
Me and Brett had a conversation with a woman in Portland who worked at a comic book store and was just, she said it was like the most, like, customer service is already like really shitty to do, but she was like, dudes wouldn't like really ask her questions. They would ask for recommendations, but they would never ask her. They would always, like, she said they would look right through her and ask a dude for a recommendation, and she was like, I like all the comics, you know. It's like my wife likes action movies, and it's always perceived that like when we watch John Wick 3 or something together, that I made her watch John Wick 3. That's like a perception that people have, but she like wanted to watch fucking John Wick 3. She likes that kind of stuff, and like it took me a long time to reckon with that. And I think also that is like a lack of like that whole period before the internet really took off. There was like there weren't a lot of female voices in any of like music criticism, video game criticism, any of that stuff.
I mean, even never like behind the camera or on the screen or anything like that. Like, it's really, and I feel like it would be impossible to explain to people who were like born in 2000 what it's like to live in like a monoculture. That is, so it's like all of the people that are like privileged and in charge. It's like, imagine if like every single thing that you consumed, every book that you read, like, was all just written by those 5 people.
Like those were actually the ones that they handed down everything to us.
Yeah, it was. You're totally right. It's like every radio station you listen to is somebody that's talking to men. Everybody that listens, all the TV is a bunch of men. Was a bunch of men deciding what was going to be on TV, and it is like really good to see. It's been really good to see. Like I remember being like a women comics aren't funny guy for a period of time, and then
stop telling on yourself.
Well, it was a long time ago. I mean, people knew I was a garbage human being. I'm not trying to like, but like
just in a meeting.
But like then you start meeting people and seeing people doing all kinds of different things because of the internet, and you get to see. Like like anybody can be fucking funny. Anybody can. Not anybody, but you know what I mean? Like any type of person can be funny. Any type of person can write a movie or something like that. An action movie. Fucking most of Breaking Bad, a good portion of Breaking Bad was written by women. Yeah. And like cast by women. You know what I mean?
That's one of the finest creations of Western culture.
It is for me, okay? Thanks for calling, Kelly. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was great.
Oh, thank you.
Got through.
Have a great night.
Yeah, stay cool. Peace.
I have watched this woman making noodles 4,000 times.
Yes, I saw
this. Is it good ones?
It's just, they look like good noodles. They look like those island noodles. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
At the Confess and shit.
Yeah, that they mix in the big steel wok thing.
I've seen it 1,000 times and I love it.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight? Is it me? Is it me?
No, this one is like.
Hello?
Oh, hello.
Yes, hello. Who are we talking to?
Non-Skelly.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Non-Skelly.
You are a non-skeleton.
Oh, shit. It is me.
Yeah. It is you.
Say it loud and proud. I am not a skeleton.
I am not a skeleton.
That's right.
Awesome. Yeah, hello.
Hi.
I'm so very psyched to be on with you guys. First time and not so long time, maybe like a couple years.
Oh, well, a couple years is a long time.
Yeah.
What's going on tonight?
Not so very much. Just I've been wanting to call in for you guys for like mad long.
Do you fit the ABCD criteria?
ABCD?
Uh-oh.
Anybody but cis dudes.
I can't listen to it.
Oh, am I supposed to be? Oh, shit.
You're supposed to be listening tonight. You're not supposed to be calling in. But we do appreciate the call in, and we'll take. I'm going to write down your area code. I'll make sure you get moved to the front of the line the next time we do the call in show. You're welcome. But you're getting flushed down the toilet, you turd. All right. Next person that can follow the rules, ABCD call-in show.
I got so uncomfortable there, I took the headphones off. Hearing a gentleman, a cis dude, get flushed down the toilet was very uncomfortable for me as a cis dude.
They did fine. I know, it's like, I'm sure that probably was like a catastrophic moment, but like, you're going to fight, you're going to come back. You're the comeback kid. You can do this. Call us another time. I'd love to hear your story of listening to Street Fight. Who are we talking to right now?
Hello?
Howdy.
Okay. Hi, I'm going to go by Terry today.
Hey, Terry.
How's it going, Terry?
Oh, it's going all right. I go by they, them, or he, him, but I'm trans, so I'm following the rules.
You're good.
Yeah, not a problem.
We even let the last caller get on for a little bit to make sure before we asked. It was very uncomfortable, but we have to stick up for the trans people, brothers and sisters, and non-binary people who have called into the show.
The rules are the rules. I mean, you got to say, like, it's not like we're against the rules. It's like we just have some. They're temporary. They're not ironclad.
Yeah.
It's not like, you have to, like, we're never going to let anybody else call in. It's just a different vibe tonight.
All right.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, so I'm going to go by... Thank you. I'm going to go by Terry because I'm going to shit-talk a cop that I know.
I like this.
So, yeah, for about 6 months, I lived with my ex-brother-in-law in, I'll just say, northern North America. And part of the reason why we lived together was just a lot of family tragedy happened, including his second lethal shooting.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a rough time.
I can imagine. Yeah, that's
during
awful.
During that time, I was pro him. I was anti-cop, but I was on his side. But
yeah, that can
at
be.
this point, not so much.
That makes sense to me.
It's tough. I mean, I absolutely know that. Like, doing the show, it's kind of a challenge to be all loud and blustery, but then in my personal life, like, forgive people that I've known for a while or I have history with, or someone that you can forget, find a reason to forgive,
But yeah, I mean, like, his second shooting, like, became, like, a viral video.
My God.
And, so, like, it really affected, my half-sister, like, who lost her job, and people were, like, threatening their, like, 5-year-old son. And so it was, like, rough. But the reason why I wanted to kind of shit-talk him was because there was a point where I think it was Brian who was curious about the sort of glee that a cop has when they, like, make a big drug bust.
Yeah.
And... oh, sorry, I just, like, fell off of a chair. So... what had happened is he was no longer on patrol after the second shooting, and he would complain a lot about being bored at work because he liked patrolling, and So then this one day he kind of got to like have some action and like made this very large pot bust where it's like a huge growing operation, and he got to be part of the team that shut it down. And so he like came back home from work being like all excited, like, oh yeah, I finally got to like have some action and I got to like do this.
Oh my God.
And the thing is that his mom grows pot, my mom grows pot.
Oh shit.
He would do pot.
Yeah.
He would do pot if it weren't for, you know, being a cop.
That's
because he's got
that's what's so frustrating about all the Facebook stuff, about all the social media, is that we all know one of them tangentially or through an acquaintance and know the type of shit that they're looking away from or they're letting slide, or the bullshit that's going on in their own life, the domestic violence, the drug use on their own behalf, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, like when he was like talking about this, he was like being real excited because he was like, oh, I finally like got to do something that mattered that wasn't just like computer work. And so then I was like, oh man, that really sucks for those families. I mean, they weren't doing anything wrong. They were just like growing some pot.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he's like started being like, yeah, I guess, and yeah, and so I just like kept on being like, oh man, that, and he like be showing pictures like, oh man, and then like all those plants, that's like so much waste, and
yeah,
he like just progressively started feeling bad about it, and then eventually my sister like texted me, be like, oh my fucking God, just stop it.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
Can I mean, this is why I want a soundboard so I could give them a round of applause right now.
Yeah.
To say that's great, to put like some sort of nagging thought in the back of a cop's mind where they're like, I did something fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like I threw my grandma in jail.
Yeah.
You know, like
so like maybe like 20 years from now we can have like a reconciliation.
Yeah. But if they don't figure it out, you know.
Yeah, I doubt it.
What they get.
No, these days like they're thinking about like they're thinking about it that way. They're like, oh, well, I smoke weed, all my friends smoke weed, but we're going after the dealers.
Yeah.
You know, the dealers are like, you know, that's where we need to keep doing the drug war for 20
well,
years.
and like, they're also going after the criminal one.
That's
what
I'm
saying. We smoke weed. We do the drugs, but we're not criminal drug users.
Yeah.
We're the good kind. These are the criminal kind that are doing it crime-like.
Well, that's what I was saying from the beginning. Yeah, we've all benefited from racism. So, like, I have a custom deck that I can do DMT on. But somebody else just gets it handed to them on the corner. It looks sketchy as hell, and they have an episode in the public. And it's like, but they're going to work. You know, they are also doing everything in my life except for, you know, their lot in life has decided that they're lower class. They're poor people. They don't get anything for what they put into shit, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's not honest. Like, it's just so bored. That's what it makes me so bored with other people, because they can't be honest about what we're all up to and what's going on here, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like the caller was saying earlier, like, it's visible, you know, if you're living life as like a poor person. Sometimes you don't even like have a house, right? So everybody is seeing it.
And for these cops, it's like these, like, their grandma or whatever, their roommate's mom, who are, those are people to them, but they don't even see these people as people.
Right.
Like you said, they were like, oh, I finally got one. It's just like an achievement for them. It's just like a metric or something. It's not like they just completely dissociate themselves from the concept of like the people that they're doing this to. And so they just get to pat themselves on the back that they've gotten their big achievement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely to him just felt like, oh, I got to do something for once.
Yeah, and I mean, I get
a weed bust.
I get frustrated. I mean, I was thinking about it. It really does, like, from both sides, red and blue, Republican and Democrats. Those are people that have irrational fears about the world that they feel are justified and that are their guiding light, and that everybody is supposed to pay attention to of like terrorist attacks that aren't happening at all, or school shit like that, gentrification that like the liberals really fucking love and don't want to talk about in a real way, and are very uncomfortable when you mention that people are being displaced, or that the folks that like you know, like Columbus City schools not having air conditioning, all these fucking people that like are coming to the city generating all of their money and then driving to the suburbs to have way better schools.
Yeah.
Or taking all of their money and putting it into private schools. And like
money that they pulled out of this.
Yeah, and we can't have an honest conversation about how the way things are organized. You know, people are just having these issues that are really just a matter of like showing who you are, just a matter of like announcing like an alliance with like your team. It's all just team fighting, and it's bullshit. Sorry, I got lost there. It's obnoxious.
I didn't really have much else to say.
Well, thanks for calling in. We really appreciate it. We got a few more calls to go. It's the lightning round for sure. I think we're in overtime.
Thanks, Terry. No,
thanks,
we're not.
Terry.
We still have we started at like 9:34 or something or 7, so we still have.
We got a few more to go. I think we can get them all in. Let's see what we got to go. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight? It's you. It's not a goblin or a skeleton or an apparition or a phantom.
I'm a skeleton.
Hello.
It's you.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Who did we what spirit did we conjure tonight?
Today you're talking to Paige.
Hey, Paige, what's going on?
Not much. I'm calling you from Grinnell, Iowa.
Okay. We've been to Iowa. We did do Iowa.
We did a show in Iowa.
Yeah. And I wanted to talk to you about our union.
Great.
Sweet.
Word. So I'm an undergraduate student here, and we have the first independent undergraduate labor union.
Excellent.
Yeah. And it's happened in my 4 years here, and it's been such a weird, crazy journey. We founded it in 2016. And right now, the Trump administration is creating a new ruling procedure about graduate and possibly undergraduate student workers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Through his NLRB.
Yeah, to try to shut them all down.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yeah. So pretty much, in 2016, we were elected to represent the dining hall workers at our college.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year after that, we were like, okay, well, everyone who works on campus needs a union. And we had our first unit was accepted, and they didn't have it be like a battle to have because they were, I don't know, just thought we were dicking around.
Mm-hmm. We got to solve those off.
And then and then once we said, oh, actually, everyone deserves a union, and they started having to bargain contracts with us, then they were like, oh, shit, and they were getting a lot of calls, from all the other schools.
No, that's great that you just like caught them by surprise. I mean, that's like awesome when these people think you're like
How long have you been involved? How long have you been involved with this campaign?
So it started in 2016, and I wasn't involved in the start. I was the first year, and I had never worked in the dining hall. Though I worked like usually 3 or 4 jobs at a time on campus. But it was like when the union started, it was just like a bread and butter union, and just really about like dealing with like the understaffing of it. And also it was totally a boys' club.
Sure.
And I was doing like other organizing stuff on campus, and then kind of got poached to come in and do organizing with them. And we're not affiliated with like an international, so we're an independent union.
You're free agent.
Sure.
Yeah, which means we have no lawyers, no anything, and no like we have optional dues. They're $2 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, but we basically got involved in a sort of national battle last fall. So I got involved kind of like last summer. And then last fall, as our expansion campaign got really real, we like knocked on every door on campus and got everyone who had a job on campus to sign a union card. We got something like 600 people. It's a school about like 1,600 people. And we filed with the NLRB like super exciting and try to get an election. And our school, we had our regional hearing, which was basically the school lawyered up, and they made us, our college owns a golf course, so our NLRB hearing was at the college golf course and country club.
Nice. It's fancy.
And yeah, it was really ridiculous. And on the stand, like, we had students testifying about their experiences, about like being on food stamps while we're trying to work, and their lawyers were, it was like the most radicalizing experience for so many people, because they just got to see, like, our president came in with a PowerPoint and was like, sorry, like, I'm an academic, like, I'm gonna have to present why you guys aren't workers this way.
Yeah.
Like a pie chart about what constitutes workers' labor.
Yeah, so that's what. So I wanted
And he
to.
was like,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, you're good.
Well, so I wanted to ask, like, because we have a lot of people that listen to the show that aren't getting involved, and you've been in over a year now. You've been doing this stuff. Like, how much has it helped your life? Like, are you enjoying it? You know, are you happy that you did? Like, what got you to like make the leap into like changing shit?
Well, now I just know that I fucking love the labor movement. I think it's like the only fucking way.
Yeah.
Forward. I'm 20 years old, and like that's like those are facts.
That's
Like,
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just like, I think like the more people understand like we're all workers, no matter what you like do, and like I think especially in my position, like what I learned was that institutions won't save you, and you always gonna have to like fight. I don't know. We're still like fighting to be seen as workers.
Yeah.
And learned that basically, you know, our like a liberal arts institution that brands itself on social justice actually has the same lawyers as all the other, like all the Ivy Leagues or busting grad student unions, and they all have the exact same language that Trump labor board wrote in his new proposal, and it's all about like class interests. It's not about
Jeez Louise, you are a firebrand. Do you eat ham at all?
Do I eat ham?
Are you like
No.
vegan or
Not-
vegetarian?
Like, I'm a picky eater. I'm just like, I eat shit. I like shit.
All right,
No
well,
ham.
send me some message. I'm gonna send you a prize pack. You're a real firebrand. I like your spirit. Thanks for calling in. I'm gonna send you a street fight prize pack. Just DM me, okay?
Yeah, DM
or message.
Make sure to DM the account so that we can send you something.
Can I plug the union?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I plug the union? Yeah, we have a Twitter. I got my own Twitter too, but the union's Twitter is UGSDW, which is Union of Grinnell Student Dining Workers. And my Twitter is Paige HTML.
Paige.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Paige.
Thanks for
We
calling,
appreciate
Paige.
it. You're a legend. Keep on rocking in the free
Yeah,
world.
loved it. Guys are not cis dudes tonight.
Yeah. Don't get
Oh,
get
yeah.
flushed.
And
Don't make that mistake. Most excellent caller, right?
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's nuts.
some sort of like New York Times editorialist where I could just go on this rant about how I can't get rid of a good ham these days, and about how there's all these young people that I give them a nice glazed ham that's been like, you know, steeped in its own juices. It's not like water or saline solution. It's the real deal. And nobody wants them.
Nobody ever wants us to mail them.
Because we started the gimmick, and then when I went to go to get them done, they're like $90 each. They're like a real, like, that's a real attaboy thing. Like, I don't spend $90 on a fucking dinner for my whole family. Like, very rarely.
Yeah.
And, but like, these people,
them.
I wouldn't want one. I think they're disgusting. They're for blood mouse. They're for, I wouldn't eat one. But, like, these people, some of them, like, really go for it. Somebody will. Like these, the old school people will. That know a good thing. They want a Christmas goose. We're going to have to do that soon. Like, we try to hand them out. I'm like, is there like a Beyond Christmas goose that you could do instead? All right, we got 3 to go. It's the call-in show, Street Fight Radio. Who are we talking to tonight? Hopefully not a goblin or a ghoul or some sort of spooky creature.
What is October?
Hey.
Howdy.
Hey.
Bob.
What's up?
You're on.
What's up, you guys?
Not a lot. Well, we're taking calls.
Yeah, we're doing the
We're just
work.
doing a
I
radio
guess I
show.
pretty much know what's up with you guys.
We're trying to make it through this
But hey.
list of calls.
Sick. Well, it's Lermy.
Lermy, my favorite. Oh my goodness.
Worm.
I've been camped out in this basement, just doing shit. I've been doing a brand new T-shirt design
Cool.
Oh, hell yeah.
for you guys.
For us?
Really? Yes.
What the heck?
Dude, it's
Brian hasn't seen it
it's
yet.
very. Oh, you haven't seen it? Well, it's looking good right now.
Excellent.
Nice.
It's still a secret
But,
project.
yeah.
Sorry, I haven't shown it to Brian.
Oh shit. Well, it's gonna be spooky, is what I'll say.
It's a great one.
Now I'm scared. Okay.
No, it's like it's a good vibe.
Okay.
It's spooky.
Okay.
It's also like chill.
It nails it. It nails the street fight energy perfectly. It's a great one. I can't wait to debut it. You've had a transformative summer, right? You went on like a vacation in the woods to go find yourself, and I've been following along. I know you went dark, and when you came back, you had like a real fire under your ass, and I really love the stuff you're doing. It's very interesting and inspirational, and you have such a great eye for what you do, and I'm glad that you're just like leaning into it.
That's so supportive of you. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I spent the summer living in a 15 by 15 foot log cabin that was built by like a bunch of people who showed up in the woods who didn't know each other over like a period of about 8 years, because I was working on the cabin too. They're pretty like buttoned up now. But,
okay.
yeah, I was like living out in the woods on my buddy Dan Bandit's property, aka Ghost Shrimp. He's like the background designer for Adventure Time and like a freelance illustrator.
Awesome.
And he started this thing called Ghost Scouts.
What was the name
Hard
again?
to explain entirely. Ghost Shrimp.
Ghost Shrimp.
Yeah, like that clear shrimp,
That.
but a guy.
Okay. But there are there really ghost shrimps now? Now you got me wondering.
Some
if
of
there's ghost shrimp.
some of it's super translucent. Like it's like you can see the anatomy of the whole damn thing.
Hachi
They look
machi.
ghosty. They look pretty sick.
This is the horniest thing I've ever said on the show.
About shrimp.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I missed it completely.
You said. Now I gotta say it.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing now. You said it's translucent. Brett said it's a ghost shrimp. He's translucent. You can see all the internal organs. And I said, ooh, hachi machi. No, it's less funny.
No, it's more funny.
But it seemed very quick in the moment, I'll
Yeah.
say. Like, it was just one of those things that was like, oh, that's very quick. But now when I think about it further, I think it's more like kind of a that's what she said kind of thing, and I'm embarrassed about it.
Cooking,
I mean,
cooking can be
what's
erotic.
the internal part? You're thinking about the external would probably be the more horny thing to say.
Well, I
Not
mean,
for
but
him.
it's the insides of inside your skin. That's the most naked you can be. Sure. Like an X-ray. X-ray is the most.
Naked.
Well, I don't know, because I would rather people see
your nervous system,
my bones and guts, than like the
The
outside.
TSA thing, they
Than the
just show
casing?
like like a face or something.
Oh God,
It's like,
I hate seeing the TSA thing. I try not to look at it.
Oh, I love it.
And well, it makes me look like
It's
a
intriguing.
load of slime, like a big fat load of slime, which is what I feel like anyway every day of my life. People say,
Oh yeah,
we're
Brian.
meat, but I feel like slime. What's up?
You should look into ego work and like therapy, because your ego is fucking making up a lot of stories about your life.
Yeah,
And like
I will
you
look
gotta
into that.
observe that and like be like, that's a fake story and it's not serving me. So
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, And you know, something that I've talked about in the past on this show that, like, is a thing that I consciously do. I do this I'm good at this, is that, like, I'll take you at your word when you tell me something, and I'm not going to hold you to that for the rest of your life, and I'm going to try not to read into what you say and say it as a comment on myself, you know, or think that you're thinking about me when you're not around me, sorts of things. Like, I know that stuff is all, like, the product of a huge ego, you know what I mean? But, like,
no, not like it's like you have a huge ego. It's like everybody has an ego, and, like, that's how we are taught to think about ourselves and, like, how our internal dialogue is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, like, a totally something that everyone works on. And I've found, like, I don't know, there's literally, like holistic psychologists on Instagram who post, like, 100% of this shit, and it's, like, pretty interesting and enlightening, like, to look at.
I'll definitely.
It's kind of like therapy.
I'll give it a look. Because, you know, I'm open to, like, anything that could help. It's just I'm just very much like I'm like, it's not. I'm not. I don't want to phrase it like I'm like I have a pretty easy life. You know, I don't want people to think that, like,
yeah, but everybody gets, like, sometimes your brain trips you up. And
yeah. I mean, that's I think what's happening with me. But
yeah, I mean, you know, also, like, yeah, you have an easy life, and then you also help other people out, and then you also have an easy life, and then you convince yourself to stay in a hole for 6 months, and you're useless to nobody, and it's like, it doesn't fucking matter what your life is. You're being miserable, you know.
Yeah,
it's not helpful.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm trying,
and you could be better. Everyone wants you to be better, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying, but
just you gotta rewrite that narrative.
But can I ask you, like, your experience in the woods was cool?
I mean, yeah, dude, like, something like that, I found, at least for me, kind of resets you. It, like, cracks you open, and just, like, everything's pretty raw, but, like, in a really good way. Like, so yeah, the Ghost Scouts is, like, basically like an art society, and we hang out in the woods on this guy's property in Vermont, like northern Vermont. It's, like, the most beautiful place ever. So yeah, there's these 2 cabins in the woods, and, like, artists come there together, and, like, we fucking hype each other up and stuff, and, like, do work on the land, and work on our own art projects. So
yeah, you found
in the secret society.
Well, you've sharpened your stone. You found your center. You seem like more confident, and you know what you're doing, and you're just stepping forward with that. You know, I really like you.
Thank you. Yeah.
You have a new print coming out that's, like, really, really neat. I love it. Your stuff is so amazing. You've also done Means TV. Like, I mean, you're gonna be huge someday.
Yeah.
Someday we're gonna write, like, the new book of punk rock, and you're, like, it's gonna be like Lermworm was there doing some of the illustrations. You know.
Dude. Oh, that's so nice of you. I feel like, yeah.
You're a legend to me already. I'm really impressed by what you do, to be honest.
Yeah, I just realized, like, what was important to me. Like, it was, like, a clarifying experience to, like, live in a log cabin for a while. I don't know, and, like, be doing the art and dedicating time to taking my art seriously. Because I was working, like, a fucking full-time ass job for the last, like, year and some change. And it sucked. I, like, hated it. I was so miserable. And it was, like, not the worst job ever. It was, like, not super bad, but there's just so many things you do in life because you think other people think you should.
Yeah.
Or,
absolutely.
like, you feel like it's expected of you. But you really don't have to do any of that shit.
Yeah. Those things, like, after a while, I mean, you realize that it's easy to gamify people and do what they want you to do for them, but it doesn't bring you any joy or happiness for yourself. And the more that you can lean into what you want to be and how you want things to go, you know, they will work around you. I mean, you know, my parents deal with me. That's the truth. Like, that's just what it is. I'm me. Everyone around me just deals with me. The mom down the road that my kid plays with, somehow, you know, through conversation, she knew I was a comedian, and she's a teacher, and she listened to my show, and I went and did stand-up comedy in her fucking high school.
Nice.
And she told them I was an anarchist, and we talked about all that stuff. And like, I didn't hide who I was, and like the biggest thing like leading up to it was just like I was shaking my boots about not cussing.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to a private school, and I thought this was going to be a very button-up environment. And then I showed up, and they were like, it's okay. So they're allowed to say fuck. We talked about, like, if you say fuck one time, it's PG-13. But if you say it more than once, it's an R rating. So, like, and I went up there. And like, I just, you know, I have to stop putting those limiters on me. Other people are going to try to stop me from being me. And, like, that's their job. I have no reason to do it for myself. I have
don't wanna stop yourself.
I don't have to like do it for them. Like, oh, you're gonna try to stop me. Let me go ahead and stop myself for you. You know, like there's no reason. You have to keep pushing through that. And it's tough. It's not easy. It's not like, I mean, I'm only saying this because I have to fortify it in myself, like, every day.
That's what it's all about, man, though. It's like you're figuring it out all the time. And yeah, I just realized, like, that, like, now, like, you might as well seize, like, the moment that's happening right now. Because I felt this momentum. Because, yeah, I like, made it happen to come do the residency for 3 months. And it's sort of like I was, like, thirsting for, like, a transformation, you know? And I definitely got it. It's like something that when it clicks, you're like, why wasn't I doing this the whole time? Like,
you know,
it makes total sense. It makes more sense than what I was, like, trying to do.
But it was the same for us. I mean, we spent so much time, like, Brian was like, I'm going to be a graduate student. I'm going to be a professor. I'm going to get, like, a fucking jacket with patches on the elbows so everybody thinks I'm a smarty pants. And, you know, like, we had all these ideas of how we could, like, well, this definitely isn't going to work out. We definitely can't just be the artist that we want to be. We have to come up with a crash pad. But, like, when you just jump into it and you stop having, like, something else to do, and you come to understand that you're somebody that makes it happen and that you do have something to work with, and stop putting the limitations, like, you know, sky's the limit at that point.
Yeah, like, if you don't go for what you want to do, like, it's not just going to happen. And it takes, like, so I'm not going back to my full-time job, and it feels like it's, like, kind of risky, but it's, like, you know, kind of, I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be an artist and make my living that way, or have to try something else. And, like, you figure it out every single day.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. You have a lot to offer. I'm excited to see what you develop into as an artist, and I will be along for the ride. And we appreciate it as always. Where can we find Instagram? Is that your spot?
Yeah. So website's in the works right now. You can check me out on Instagram at Lerm, LERM, worm, like a worm, and that's where I'm posting stuff. And I'm gonna have posters for sale of some prints. I ordered stickers, which is exciting. And, yeah, check it out. And also...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say there's a lot of slingshots in Philly. They're popular.
Yeah, because they're cool as hell. I mean, because they're really for cool, like, mostly cool dudes, but women can drive them too. They're fucking for cool people, man. You get a nice American flag wrap on it, maybe with the Constitution on the hood, and they're just, slingshots are so cool, man.
Hey, Lermy, let me tell you this to you, just because you're trying to be a working artist. I've been looking at homes now. We're trying to buy a house in the Columbus area. And, you know, something that my wife went to art school, so she's a snob, and I'm a poor person that wants to be upper class, so I'm also a snob. But, like...
You can have taste you like.
But here's what we agree upon that we think is just absolutely disgusting. And when we go to these houses, it's folks that have, like, a Claude Monet poster in a frame.
That's
me. Oh, my God.
Someone that has, like, a Van Gogh or, like, a Georgia O'Keeffe poster that they maybe paid $12.95 for and they bought a frame for. And, you know, you look at something like what you're doing, you're trying to put a print out there that maybe is $19.95, and they're going to, you know, you can buy, it's $20 and you can buy a frame for it. And you have something on your wall that was an original creation, but people, it's so hard to break through because folks just want to say, like, No, I didn't find a piece of art. I didn't find a print that I like and put it on my wall. I like the popular artists that make me seem smart, you know? Like that's what someone's trying to say with a poster like that.
Well, hopefully they're just uninitiated.
Sure. We got to jump them in. We got to jump them in. We got to go to their house. If you ever see someone that has like a framed poster, like a photograph of Marilyn Monroe or James Dean.
Yeah, or like those canvas, like Paris things that says Paris on it.
Rip it off their walls immediately and break that shit in half. But you pay to replace it with a tasteful print that's under $30. I mean, it's affordable shit, and it makes you look like a smart, intelligent, cool person.
And it's the standard size paper. Just go buy a frame. You don't have to get that expensive custom frame.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's that easy.
Well, thanks so much, you guys.
Not a problem. Once again, I'm very inspired by you, and I'm glad to see what you've done over the years. It's like the cool thing about doing Street Fight is we get to have these long-term relationships, and I'm really settling into seeing people like mature and grow and do their own thing, because it's like you're not going to be like a Street Fight zine artist. You're not going to make any money doing that right now. you know, like.
Well, you guys have been a big part of it, because that's like, you know, every job is getting me to where I want to be.
Sure.
And yeah, it's been awesome.
I try to help where I can, but like I also like. We had Asia that does some of the other stuff. I was a reference on her tattoo apprentice, and it's so neat to see people like just like leveling up and like because you're like a young idiot that doesn't know what to do, and you're kind of know how to. You have a passion or you have a talent, and then all of a sudden you're like this cool professional that can help other people out. And I mean that's where I'm at right now. I'm like loving life. Trying to help and share the wisdom with other people to like step into that light and like be the somebody has to be the weirdo outsider, the rabble rouser. Like just do that. Like if that's your calling, like stop worrying about square lifestyles and stop worrying about like make it work. You know,
think about what you want to do and try to find a way to do it and make your life about doing the things you like.
For sure. Well, thanks, Lermy. We appreciate it. Have a good night.
Peace.
As always, to everyone.
I'm excited for the spooky t-shirt.
We got to jump in. We got 2 to go. I don't think we should honor the jump in.
Well, yeah, we're over now.
724. We're in overtime. You're out. I'm going to drop you. But let's get our next call in here. We got 2 more to go. Clock is ticking. Yeah.
All right. Let's do this.
Anonymous has been in and out all night. They're up all night listening to Street Fight. Hey, who are we talking to? Hopefully you're not a goblin or a ghoul. A zombie with no conscience.
Shit, is this me?
Yeah. What's up?
You.
Oh my god! Hi.
Howdy.
This is Victoria from Orange County, California.
Love it.
What's up?
Love that show.
We're gonna be down there.
California. California.
Yeah, but it's not like that. But there's a lot of those types out here.
Yeah, my family's from there. I have a family member that like ran away from Ohio for like a DUI charge and ended up out there.
Fuck, I need to do that. I need to get a DUI.
Back in the 70s, you could just disappear out of shit, man. They just would lose the paperwork.
Yeah. There's a good book about that, actually, about how to disappear, and it turns out it's super fucking hard about how to, like, fake your own death. Anyway,
I've always dreamed
of it. I want
a ghost world is what I want to do. I want to do a ghost world.
A ghost world?
Yeah, at the end when Enid just takes that bus to nowhere and you're just like, all right, she disappeared. Like, she just followed her heart.
I don't know that I'm super familiar with that.
I love that movie. It's a good movie. Sorry. I'm not trying to be too old on this, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to call and talk about, kick it old school and talk about shitty work stuff.
Sweet. Go for it.
Does that work?
That works for us.
So I got laid off this week. Oh, no. So that really sucks.
Oh, that sucks.
Was it a bad job?
Yeah, it totally sucks. I'm sorry?
Was it a bad job?
No, that's the actually really shitty part. So
How long did you have it?
Really niche. So I was there for 2 years.
Oh shit, that does suck. God damn.
I was a restoration ecologist with this one like kind of small consulting company, and they just I just went back to school, so I just started a grad school program, kind of in the field. So they said it would be super chill, like I could just, just go back down to part-time like I was before, because it was like a fucking headache trying to get them to make me go full-time, and it just turned into like a thing, I guess. So they fired me, or not fired me, they laid me off. They offered me a severance package or whatever, and so they did say that, like, it was, no fault, like, it's nothing personal, blah, 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 but it felt super personal, and I'm still kind of upset about it, because, like, it was a pretty decent job. Like, I got paid commute, and I was making, like, $22 an hour, and
Nice.
It's, like I said, it's a super niche field, so it's pretty hard to break into, but, I'm sorry, I'm not letting you guys talk at all.
No, you're good.
No,
You're good.
it's fine.
We're here to amplify voices tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the rug gets pulled out from under you. I mean, the thing is, like, what I've always found is the problem with work is that everyone is talking behind somebody's back, but no one is, like, talking to the person and saying, like, hey, if you adjusted your behavior in this, like, very small way, we wouldn't fire you in 60 fucking days,
Dude, like, that's the thing, though. It's like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I went, like, okay, a month ago, I had a bit of an accident where I was doing some water sampling, and both my partner and I, we forgot to wear gloves. So I had sent him back down to go grab the gloves out of the truck, and it turns out that, like, I was just trying to be efficient and whatever, and I was sampling some water, and some of it spilled. I looked at the bottle said highly toxic, so I kind of freaked out. And, I was literally the only woman on the team of, like, 12 dudes, and it's just, like, I was the only person that had ever used, like, workers' comp or anything, and I just feel like they kind of got rid of me for causing trouble, quote unquote.
No, you're right.
So it just...
They were talking shit
like,
about you the whole
just
time.
like, bullshit. No, but that's the thing is, like, all of the people that I work with, like, I've gotten calls from every single guy that I've worked with over there, and they were all like, what the fuck happened? Like, you did not deserve to go. Like, there's this other dude that I work with that is, like, literally doing the exact same grad school program I am in, and he also dropped down to part-time, and they kept him over me, and everybody that called me was like, yeah, if they had consulted us about the ranking, like, you wouldn't have been below him.
I just can't imagine it's the case. Like, it's just, like, shitty behavior, but, like, if you're the woman on the job, like, you're the problem. I mean, you are like, if you're creating the issue. Like, it's really when dudes are all together, like, that's usually what the fuck they're saying. Like, that's really shitty that they didn't consider you like that.
I mean, and the thing is, like, it's a lot of it is manual labor, and I'm small. I'm like 5'2", 120 pounds. So, I'm putting my all into this. I'm doing, like, a shit ton of work, but, I'm not going to get as much work done as the guys. But who's putting in more effort, It's a lot harder for me.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, they should pay based on heart scale. Like, who has the most heart.
I feel that way, too. I mean...
You sound mighty. I'm sure you're very mighty.
I do my best. I mean, luckily, I have another job, so...
That's great.
I've hopefully asked to take on some more hours over there.
Yeah.
Well, it sucks that you had to have two
Cool.
jobs.
Gardening.
Yeah, it sucks that you had to have two jobs, but it's good that you it's good that, like, I mean, if they got rid of you for, a workman's comp claim sort of thing.
You don't want to fuck around with them.
It's for the better to just get the hell out of there. When I left, I've left jobs where it was just like, this is not where I want to be ever. I want to, I got to get out of here because this is going to end bad anyway.
Yeah.
The call center. I was like, this either ends with me being laid off or fired for some weird reason, but this is not the job I'm going to have for the rest of my life, for sure.
If you're doing a shop, if you're fucking digging or hanging shit or swinging a hammer, and no one's allowed. The culture is that you're not allowed to do workman's comp. Like, don't fuck around with that. There's no reason to risk it. Like, if I would go swing a hammer, but I better be able to go to the fucking doctor when my back tweaks on me.
Right.
That was like the warehouse. Yeah, the warehouse soured me when my wrist was fucked up, and they're like, the company's not going to pay for this. And it was like, they did this though. Like, I have to do this all the time, and they fucked up my goddamn wrist. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think like
totally.
I had a lucky situation because there is flexibility in that industry because they're so anti-union that they hire contractors that they can just get more, so it was like me leaving wasn't like a huge deal to them. But then when I got out, it was like, once I got out, it like changed my life, like maybe out of desperation, maybe out of like others, like I don't know what made it happen, but something happened that like, I might have pushed myself into a corner and made something, I think that's like, I'm happy with sort of what I've been able to make. And I was basically in the same situation you. I was not going to make it at the cable company. That was not going to end well.
I got to say, my best advice, like, if you've been 2 years and you got laid off, if you're getting unemployment, like, if you can find an under-the-table job and collect unemployment, you will be fucking balling. Like, I've had, I ran after I got sent out the door from Abercrombie Warehouse, I ran an eBay business for like 2 years because I could claim unemployment the whole time. I was getting like $600 or $700 padding a month, and then could sell like $1,000, $2,000 worth of clothes, and everything was taken care of. I
that's dope.
Do what I want, So definitely try an under the table job.
Yeah, I did. I did file. I know you guys talked about unemployment in one of the last basement shows, so I definitely filed for that. I'm in California, so if you want to hear about what that's like, I could definitely keep you updated.
Yeah, we would love to hear.
For sure. Let us know.
We'll see how that goes.
Let us know what you run into at other times. That would be really great.
Yeah, we'll do an ABCD again. We have all these disgusting men.
Well, you can also call in on days that's not ABCD.
This is such an awesome thing.
You can call in whenever you want, but like
it fills up so fast.
Yeah, it happens.
Which is great. Like, it's super awesome that like people are listening and calling in.
Well, you know what? Men are so selfish, and they demand all of our fucking time. They think they just get an audience with us no matter what, and they're willing to use violence to get ahead. Like, they just are awful.
I love when you guys flush the truth down the toilet.
Yeah, that poor guy, because like I know that like they were also like in a very like vulnerable place, but I think tragedy can be a perfect place for the beginning of a lot of comedy. Laughter. That was some funny ass shit. Like one of the best turds of all time. So thank you for getting flushed.
Well, thanks for calling.
Have a good night. We got one more to go. We have to jump in. Do we have to flush this last jump in piece? Thanks for not being like a specter from the past.
We're taking one more, and we gotta get one more.
724. You're out of here.
We have exactly.
We have one.
We have for well over 3 hours.
We got a V for Vendetta that's coming in, an anonymous.
Well, is that the one we have?
No, there's one. There's a jump in that's been like, persistent.
I now drink tea at 2 p.m.
Who is this?
I also drink tea and coffee sometimes in the morning. But
Who is
now
this?
at 2 p.m., I'm starting to drink tea.
Wow, they're just not even listening?
It's an audio recording.
Okay.
We're out
Jump in. No, Jump in is our last tea. I mean, we agreed. You agreed to one more, and that was absurd. I was interested. What was that?
I'm not sure.
Was that someone's
I didn't
like
recognize
daily
it from
routine?
something.
Someone reading from their journal? Howdy doody, what's going on? Hopefully, are you the crypt keeper? Hey, what's up? You're on Street Fight Radio. We're taking calls. You
You're
gotta
the last caller on the phone.
You
So
gotta
if you're on the phone,
called back. I hung up on you and you
we're
called
talking
back.
to
It's time to knock it out the park, and you better not be a fucking dude, because it's anybody but cis dudes. Anybody but. All right.
Overtime.
Got it. Well, keep making that grilled cheese that you're crack-a-lacking in the kitchen or whatever them fucking noises are. Good night. That was Street Fight. It's Sunday night. Your call-in show. Thanks for being here. The ABCD show is over. Anybody but cis dudes. We kept to our we kept to the mantra, and we appreciate the DSA for being here. We've got Kristen and Alec. Y'all were great.
Give them your stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, how can they help or get involved or amplify voices, send money, whatever it may be?
Well, with the Tenants Union, you can follow at Union Columbus. I don't know why that was available, but the
not a big union city.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, and like we said, happy hours Tuesday at Rehab Tavern in
Franklinton.
And the Rehab Tavern is not like a place where you go to get rehab. You go there to get drunk. Don't let the name fool you. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
it's because they rehabilitated a space.
Yeah.
It's an awesome divey bar. It's great. And
Very
also, columbusdsa.org has our calendar. It has all of our social media on there, ways that you can contact us. I'm the member engagement chair, so if you contact us, it'll probably come to me. Yeah.
And Kristen's
Come to
very
the
nice
general
and
meeting.
cool, and so is Alex. So
What's
just
that?
talk to them.
We got a lot of tweeters on here. What's the Twitters?
I think it's at Columbus_DSA.
That's right.
Because for some reason somebody had Columbus DSA, but let me double check on that real quick.
Yeah.
And in the
I should
meantime,
put it
like
on
the
Twitter.
Columbus District Smokers of America.
Yeah.
We appreciate
It's
it.
It is at Columbus_DSA.
Yeah, give them a follow if you want to get clued into what's going on in Street Fight. I'm sorry, Street Fight. Start over. Sorry, I was so ahead of myself right there. If you want to get clued into what's going on with the DSA, follow them on Twitter. It's at Columbus_DSA. If you want to follow along with Street Fight, we're on all of your social media. We're Street Fight WCRS. You can listen to us on Columbus Radio as well. Add it to your radio dial. Check them out, WCRSFM.org. Thank you to everybody that called in tonight. It was one of the good ones, and I'm proud to do it. And can't wait to fuck with all y'all in Texas. Please bring all the most illegal drugs that you got. Weed is not considered a drug anymore. Weed is not a drug. It's a fucking medicine everywhere else. So bring drugs, not weed.
Apparently bring ketamine.
Weed too, and some ketamine. Yeah.
Bring me pills.
Cocaine. LSD,
any pills, really.
Just not
There's
heroin.
not Adderall,
not
but
heroin.
everything but Adderall.
Not heroin, pharmaceutical.
I'm good with Oxycontin.
Hey, just bring what you got, and I'll give it an eyeball and decide if I'm going to take it or not. Just that'll work for me. We're Street Fight Radio. Peace. I have to go turn this off now.